Welcome to Chronicles of the Cloudsea, and we're just going to get right into it. So we're actually going to start with Chris, who is playing as Caitlin or Kate McReady, or is it McCready?
McCready, you got it.
Okay, McCready. Well, when we left off, Kate had recently found a discarded letter. It was a note to adventurers written by Carol Zillaru, basically explaining there's going to be a big celebration for the Windswept Centennial at Windswept Town Port, which is also, Windswept Isle is the isle that Caitlin is from. She found the letter and decided to go tell her parents. That's where we're picking up now. Kate leaves the clearing that she found the letter in and is walking towards your homestead, where some of your siblings and your mother can be seen packing up a donkey cart. The siblings there's Dalton, who's packing up some heavily loaded baskets full of produce. You can see the produce. The leaves are overflowing from the edges of the baskets. Your younger sister, Erin, and your mother, Neve, are packing up textiles on the other side of the cart.
All right. So, yeah, I'm going to cross the distance over to them and... All right, it looks like we're getting everything ready for market. So, yeah, what do we got here then, Ma?
Well, greetings, Kate. We're just packing up the last of the goods. I'm not sure where your other siblings who are accompanying you at market are for the moment.
Okay, who are you planning to send along with me today?
Well, we're going to send Jaleesa and Ashlyn.
Right. I can understand Ashlyn, and I suppose Jaleesa's good with people. That makes sense.
Right, and then to pick up the slack, we thought we would send Theo and Thea with you as well.
All right, good call. Those two know how to use their heads, and they can work pretty well. Makes sense. Ma, I found this, and I hold up the letter that, had fallen basically from the sky, and I hand it over to her. Looks like we'll be having some extra adventures coming into town. Maybe a little bit extra business coming our way.
Neve quickly scans through the letter. She clears her throat. Well, adventures, imagine that. I can't imagine the sort of person who would need to work for a living. But I suppose they may have some money to spend on some of our goods.
Well, I mean, if they go around from place to place and all that, I imagine they have a couple of coins to rub together.
Indeed, and that's why you, Caitlin, who we refer to as the smart one.
Thank you, Mom.
And Dalton kind of darts over the cart and clears his throat. Yes, I'm just playing a little a fool's coin. Off in the distance, you can see, or not in the distance, but just to the edge of the homestead, you can see your father, Kieran, with Ashlyn riding on his shoulders, and Jaleesa is kind of dragging along in tow, dragging her heels, not really looking too into it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes sense. She's allergic to hard work, so I'm not surprised.
Okay, so Neve kinds of motions for you to attach the reins for the donkey to the cart. And as you're doing that, Kami, you as the character Norren, you find yourself in a heavily wooded area, and you are approaching Oakshroud Tower of Timbershire, the high elven tower where most of the airships leave Timbershire Island. And as you're walking, you're kind of fiddling with the artifact that you found, which I'll send you an image of it on Discord, just so nobody else can see what it looks like. But basically, it is a tablet of about 4.5 inches width and 2 inches length, and it has numbers written in the infernal alphabet from 1 to 9, and then followed by 0. And you know this alphabet because you are familiar in the abyssal language through your training. But in any case, you are examining the artifact and you enter the town of Oak Shroud Tower rather. You're approaching the airship ports, which are on the edge of the tower. You see a familiar figure, a Azamar woman who you know as another ranger, is sitting off to the side, basically where the airship landing is, to load people who are ready to embark on a voyage. And as you approach her, you take note of a massive airship going overhead. But in any case, she looks up to you and scoffs. Well met, Norren.
Hello. I've been spending many of these eons, or much of this time by myself, and I've just recently gotten this letter, and I was wondering if there's any way I could board one of these ships.
Ah, yes. Well, I received one of these letters as well. It's actually why I find myself here today. I'm just waiting for the next ferry to come in.
So when did you receive your letter? This is a rather unusual occurrence.
Well, I happened into Oak Shroud yesterday evening, and a young elf approached me with the letter. And yourself?
Just same thing. Recently just got delivered this letter too, and I'm making my way to where we need to go.
As you're talking to her, another elf, actually a dark elf, kind of runs up in a big Hufflepuff. Panting heavily, she exclaims, "Did I just miss that blasted infernal airship?" And she motions to the gigantic airship you see heading away in the distance. She looks at the two of you and asks, "Well then, is there another airship coming anytime soon, to your understanding?"
Not that I'm aware of. I've been spending much of my time by myself, and I have not even seen this in quite some time.
The Azamar companion of yours, or friend, I should say, she clears her throat. Well, as a matter of fact, a ferry is supposedly arriving any moment now, from none other than the Nature and Goodness Society. The dark elf kind of chuckles. Yes, I received one of those letters too. And she introduces herself as Alisaria. As you're waiting, the ferry arrives. It's on a blimp, or attached to a blimp. There's a little undercarriage style basket. Your companion Adi gets up from the spot that she was sitting down, and she motions to you to approach the airship landing. So you do. And from there, we are going to switch to Havi's little intro. So Havi is playing as the Cloudforged character Sije, and you received your letter, the same letter, the previous day from the Deep Gnome Pit Gazer. And you now find yourself in the Yuan-Ti city of Eshelcestu. And you too are approaching the airship landing for that city. As you do, you are walking next to Essa, your Yuan-Ti companion, and you notice not only are a lot of eyes tracking you because of your particularly unusual appearance, but their gaze is also being captured by Essa, who, seems a little bit miffed at the attention he's getting. People are kind of laying eyes on him and then darting away, mumbling. So, how do you react?
Do I have something on my face?
Essa speaks up. Not so sure it's you, but perhaps we should conceal ourselves with cloaks. And he draws his hood over his head, suggesting you do the same.
Yeah, I'll put mine on as well.
Malia and Jazz, your other two companions, don't seem to be really put off by this. You continue through the city, and you notice bioluminescent mushrooms and crystals along the walkway. You're passing through what they call the University District. So there's a lot of tiered buildings, centers for learning. You kind of see people playing instruments off to the side, and you hear the clang of metal in the distance. Essa seems a little put off by it, so he urges everybody to move along at a quicker pace. You and your companions oblige without cause for argument. You cross the river of the University District. It's a bridge covering a highly mineralistic stream, so there is kind of like a teal tint to the stream. And on the other side of the river is the pathway leading up to the airship landing, which you soon find out is not so much a landing as it is a rope bridge connecting both sides of the horns with a huge platform in between the two mountains. There is a kind of a serviceman, a UNT serviceman rather, standing towards the exit of the cavern, which goes onto the rope bridge. He nods at all of you and asks, "Well then, do you all have your letters as well?"
I'm gonna frantically wave mine in the air, be like, "I got mine."
Ah, yes. Yeah, an excited one, are you? Well, go on ahead. The ships are about to leave. Jazz speaks up. Well, we must hurry. The captain is a friend of ours, one Pit Gazer. The serviceman nods emphatically and rushes you all along. And in the middle of the rope bridge is the platform, as I described. It's a large wooden platform made of zerk wood, and there's guard railings to circling the entirety of the platform. But off to the southern edge of the platform is a particularly large airship of deep gnome or gnomish make, and your companion, the fairy guide from the Mantle Ward, Pit Gazer, is standing there, tapping his feet impatiently. Well, all right, get aboard with you. And so you climb aboard. You are all on your way to Windswept Isle, where we will come back to Chris, or Caitlin, I should say.
Sure. It's pretty interchangeable. Either one works for me.
Indeed, indeed. So you're making your way on the road towards Windswept Port Town.
Okay.
And there are several other carts along the road. I wouldn't say it's particularly high traffic. You do see other carts hauling their goods, most of them people you recognize. And from behind you hear a familiar voice, and it shouts, "Hail McReady family!"
Okay, I turn around in my seat where I'm driving the donkey, and I look at whoever it is that's talking.
Okay, so the young man running up aside the cart it's a fellow you recognize from school. He's a little bit older than you, but, you know, he left school some time ago, but it was a very small school, so you know kids of all ages who went there. And his name is Virgil Visibel, and he kind of left to become a hunter, but you often see him when you make the trek to Windswept Port Town.
Okay. Virgil, how goes it?
Well, you know, the hunt never ends. And how about yourself?
Well, you know how it is, work on the farm never ends, so we're just heading into town because, apparently there might be some adventurers coming through lately. So we're hoping to drum up a little bit of extra business, see if any of them are, you know, in the mood for some fresh produce or, you know, in need of some eggs or things like that.
Oh, you don't say. As a matter of fact, I received one of those letters myself. And how about you?
Wait, are they supposed to be addressed to people or something?
Well, it's to my understanding that they have been handing them out to notable people or persons of notoriety from around the Isles.
I just put on a confused look and just take out the letter that I got, and I just assumed that it fell out of the bag of the fellow who was delivering the mail and stuff, or it was just like a flyer or something like that. I mean, what could anybody... I just work on a farm. I don't know.
He chuckles. Well, Caitlin, if I were you, I would hold on to that, because you never know when unaddressed mail might come in handy.
All right. Not that I'm planning to do anything about it, though. I've been working on the farm my entire life, and, well, I've got 12 other siblings and my parents to look after, so frankly, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
He chuckles and comments, well, I suppose the orphan's life afforded me a little bit more freedom than you. You know, you continue to chit-chat. Within about 20 minutes, you notice a particularly large airship flying overhead. And now this airship has dome-ish structures, towers, like pretty much a city built atop its hull. And it flies overhead, and Virgil comments, well, that would be the Goblinoid City, I reckon.
Wait, Goblinoid city? What do you mean?
Ah, yes. Quite some time ago, a rumor had it that some goblins got together and, well, they built up a floating city.
That's not just an airship. You're saying that's an entire city that flies around in the sky.
Oh, yes. A city containing hundreds of goblins and hobgoblins, maybe even a few other folk as well.
Well, leave it to goblins to constantly surprise us, I say, just looking up at this massive structure.
You also take note of a couple other smaller ferries following behind, I'll say, a considerable distance. But one is coming from the same direction, while the other is coming from a eastbound heading, or eastward heading. So we will skip forward in time a little bit to where both Norren and Sije are arriving on their respective ferries. They arrive at the same time to the Windswept Port Town, and they arrive onto the dock. Norren, you get off of the dock, and you are met by a cornucopia of odors you haven't smelled in a long time. There are particularly the smells of frying fish, but it's not quite the fried fish smell that you're familiar with, because it's also accompanied by like almost a weedy odor. So you can't help but follow your nose to the source of the smell, where you see a mechanized cloud forge, and he has some sort of apparatus built into his belly, of all places, that is full of boiling oil. While this oil is boiling in this contraption, like an open pot or an open cauldron built into his belly, he is preparing filleted cuts of fish on a table, which has a loose flour breading, which he is coating the fish. He places the most freshly coated fish into the boiling cauldron, and it starts sizzling, and the smell just consumes your senses. So the Cloud Forge looks at you. He can see the delight in your face, and he asks, "Well then, Wood Elf friend, would you care for some of our freshly fried breaded fish?"
It's been quite some time since I've smelled something this delicious, or even seen something this properly prepared. May I have one of these fish that you're preparing?
Yes, well, it does fetch a premium price. One fillet is 50 silver pieces.
50 silver pieces, eh?
You rummage into your coin purse and you count how much money you have, and you actually have 5 GP, which is worth 50 silver pieces.
I sit there and debate, as I probably should be saving, but at the same time, it's been a long time since I've seen food like this. Something freshly caught or something barely rawly eaten.
It takes you a little bit of time to remember the conversion rate of silver to gold pieces, because you've been secluded from society for quite some time. You realize that the amount of money you have can only cover one piece of fish, and that will leave you with no more money.
Well, after sitting there debating it with a rather sad feeling upon my gut, just seeing this food go away, I decide to let it go. And then stare straight at the center of this mecha and ask, how did this come to be? This thing in your stomach, this oil, what is going on here?
Cloudforge bellows, his laugh echoing with a metallic drum, replies, "Well, I was constructed this way. My master, my builder, wanted me to help sell his fish. So he constructed me with this cauldron, and now I am a living, walking, well, not quite breathing, but I am a fish fryer." And as he's explaining, Alisaria, the drow you spoke to earlier, comes along. 50 silver pieces, eh? I'll buy 5. And she just throws him 250 silver pieces, and he quickly ramps up 5 pieces of fish and hands them over to her. And before you know it, she has walked off. But down the way, you notice there are many more vendors. There lining the dock, and they all seem to have some kind of gimmick of their own. And as you make your way down the dock, checking out the different vendors, you notice another airship is disembarking. Of the group that comes off at the front of the line, you see another dark elf, a male drow, who is heavily clad in armor and has a long sword tied to his waist. There is a dark-skinned human female, a blue-haired Yuan-Ti pureblood, and something you've never quite seen before. Generally seems to be a construct with a generally stone body, and his face has a fiendish appearance. He has horns, stone scales. This is actually Havi's character, Sije. So Sije, you notice as you step onto the dock, you notice there's a surprising number of constructs on the dock, and you haven't seen very much in your life up to this point. But you take note of one who seems to have some kind of apparatus, not built into him, but he seems to be building these other conical glass chambers compressed into a smaller point in the middle. And there's sand falling from the top cone to the bottom cone. And the Cloudforged who's building them notices your eyes catching what he's preparing. He says, "Well, greetings, fellow construct. Would you care for a sand dial?"
What's a sand dial?
So the construct chuckles. Yes, well, I suppose it looks like you lot are from the Always Dark. I hear you use magical means to keep time there, but a sand dial, essentially, the purpose of it is to keep track of the passage of time. This larger sand dial, the sand will fall from the top chamber to the bottom in the time span of exactly 1 hour, and then he holds up a much smaller one. Meanwhile, these ones will empty out in a minute. So by using these, people can record whether an hour or a minute of time has passed. So as you look around the dock, you notice there's actually a lot of people selling sand dials. You sense a general theme of timekeeping on the dock. But as you're making your way down the dock, a rather small wood elf bumps into you. He walks straight into the front of you. As he's walking towards you, you notice he's kind of looking off in the direction of another Cloudforged. You notice has a cauldron for a stomach. So this wood elf bumps into you.
Oh, God. You're right there.
Hello.
So both of you are kind of taken aback. Norren, you've never seen a creature that looks quite like this. Your attention is being split between the construct with the boiling oil in his stomach and the one before you who has the face of a monster for all intents and purposes.
With the thoughts in my head of all of these things happening at once. Why are we here? The hunger in my stomach, the desire to eat this food. The only thing I can think of is I look over at this creature and say, "Where on earth where do you come from?"
To which Sije replies,
Oh, I come from this wonderful place where pretty much I live underground.
And then searching around, I begin to think, and I take it you have one of these letters as well?
No, yes, I do.
Essa, your friend, your Yuan-Ti friend, nudges up to your side. Yes, it seems we all have one of these. And then Norren, your friend Adi, bumps up to you, and she actually hands you something wrapped in a piece of paper, tightly wrapped in a piece of paper that is now dripping with grease, and says, "There you go, friend."
Thank you very much. This looks quite delicious, and I'm just torn between all of this happening right now. There is so much going on that I don't understand, and so much going on around us that I don't know, and all of these new faces is taking quite the time to adjust to all of this.
So while you're kind of both stuck outside of your element, somewhat bewildered, you notice there's people ushering new arrivals off of the docks. So as you make your way off the dock, you do notice some of the disembarkees are buying things from the stalls, but for the most part, everybody who is now disembarking is leaving the dock area. So you now, scanning your surroundings, you kind of both get a better view of the dock area. So as you're disembarking, there is a toll house to the left, which is pretty much being unused at this point. There's so many people coming off of the dock that taking tolls doesn't really make sense at this point. You just see ushers waving people past. Then there are two large shipyards. Yeah, there's two large shipyards to the left and right of the dock. And south from the one on the left is a windmill. And you notice other buildings in your surroundings. But most of the traffic seems to be going down this road here. So you generally decide that's where you want to go to. And as you're making your way, you're not grouped up with one another, but you're still relatively close, having disembarked at the same time. As you're doing that, Caitlin McReady is making her way down Market Street, a street she's rather familiar with, where there are lots of vendors. So this area I just cleared is Market Street.
Cool, okay.
So people are setting up their stalls. Jalissa calls your attention, pointing over to a empty spot across from the inn. And as a matter of fact, the innkeeper is a client of your parents, so they usually reserve the spot across from the inn because he buys lots of butchered livestock from you. Although
Right.
usually he goes to your farm to do that, as you don't bring livestock into town.
No. Okay. So, yeah, if that's the spot where we're gonna set up. All right, let's get the wagon around. Thea, the both of you, let's start getting some things out. All right, so the four of you know the plan then. So, Jalissa, the two of us, we're gonna be working together. We're gonna be selling things to people. Thea, the both of you are going to be handling money and getting people their purchases when they come by. And Ashlyn, she's like the adorable 6-year-old sister, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Your job, sweetie, is to sit right here, watch what we do, and try to learn what you can, and just be nice to people and smile and wave at them, okay, sweetie?
Okay. Whatever you say. And
Aw.
she blinks and kind of just has a dumbfounded look.
Okay. And I give her an apple just to make sure she has something to eat then. Alright. And I just begin hawking some wares to everybody. So, with some baskets that are being set out, I begin just hollering to nearby people. Produce! Fresh produce picked this morning! We've got potatoes, cabbages, carrots, apples, turnips, and sweet plums! And so just, one of many voices filling the town street.
So as you're exuberantly selling your wares, lots of people are coming up because the McReady family are known for their good produce and finished products such as wool, textiles, yarn, thread, and flour as well. So as you are doing that, Jalissa's kind of like moping beside you, saying the occasional hi to, passing by male villagers and townspeople.
Mm-hmm.
Then you hear another familiar voice, and this is the voice of Bill McMurray, who...
Not that fucking Billy McMurray.
Yeah, Billy McMurray. Billy McMurray shouts out, "Hey, Jalissa!" And I can actually show you what he looks like. So this is Billy McMurray, who is...
God damn it! I knew it! He's hot!
Yeah, he's a good-looking dock worker, but he's closer to you in age. He is 23 years old. Jalissa bats her eyes in the direction of Billy. "Oh, hey, Billy."
Just interpose myself between him and my 17-year-old sister. Hello, Billy McMurray. Is there something that I can help you with today?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Caitlin, how's it going?
Very well, thank you.
Actually, I was hoping to buy some things from Jaleesa here.
Well, this is part of a family-run business, Billy McMurray. If you can purchase something, you can speak to me, all right?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's just, I usually buy from Jaleesa. Jaleesa kind of nudges up to you and she's like, Caitlin, what are you doing?
Know as well as I do, he is far too old for you. Jalissa, the fact is he should be going after a woman his own age and not someone like you who doesn't know any better.
So, as you two are arguing, Billy's kind of going through the stuff, picking out carrots, flour, a smaller bag of flour. Theo and Thea jump up and they're like, Theo speaks up first. Hey, Billy, how's it going? And Billy doesn't reply. He just kind of nods and goes, He approaches Jalissa and asks, so, how much for the bag of flour and this bundle of carrots?
I just cast an eye on Jalissa as if waiting to see if she's going to give this guy a discount.
And she stammers over her words a little bit and then looks at you and kind of sighs. Well, I guess it'll be, with the flour, that's about 120 copper pieces. And you recall that is a fair price.
Okay, good. No need to make an intimidation check. All right.
So it seems like Jalissa knows her place most of the time. You kind of wonder if, when you're not looking, she might offer a discount. But with that, Billy actually kind of doesn't seem to be interested in Jalissa much and heads off into the tavern. Into the inn across the street.
Okay, the less we see of him, the better. Works for me.
So as he leaves, he just waves off. So long, McReady family.
I say nothing to him, just give him a wave and just wait for him to leave.
Excellent.
Keeping a fucking fox away from the hen house.
So as you're diffusing yourself, lowering your emotions, you notice a Aarakocra, a bird person who, to be honest, you've never actually seen a bird person up close before, but this bird folk fellow kind of has the general appearance of a bird of prey, which you only know of from tales. You've never actually seen an eagle, but everybody is keenly aware of what owls look like, and this kind of looks like a thin owl, but that's what his appearance is.
Neat, okay.
And he's rummaging around, just kind of grumbling as he passes by your stall. He's mumbles loud enough for you to hear. Where is that blasted letter?
Everything all right there, sir?
He darts you a glance, and his eyes stare right through you. It's a very menacing looking gaze.
I just kind of look to one side as if wondering if he's looking at someone else, then realize he's staring at me, and the awkwardness intensifies.
He lets out a little bit of a high-pitched noise, kind of like, the only way I can describe it is as a squawk. He continues on his way south. Thea speaks up. Wow, is that an Aarakocra?
You'd know better than I would. I can't say for sure. I don't think I've ever seen one in person.
I've never seen one either, but I have seen them in books. So
That makes sense.
You continue to follow, your gaze continues to follow the Aarakocra because, I mean, generally it's a very cool looking creature that you are totally unfamiliar with, but although you do know they exist on the Cloudsea, as you trace his movements, he makes his way around the corner at the end of the street. From where he's heading, you see a whole slew of unidentifiable people of different races coming around the corner. You gather that these are the adventurers who were invited in the letters.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. And I just suck in a breath and I just keep up the sales pitches, but even louder than before to get their attention. So yeah. Fresh eggs laid this morning. Cow's milk. Turnips. Plums. Apples from the orchard.
So Norren and Sije, Norren, you find yourself basically caught up in a group of tons of people. You're shoulder to shoulder with them, just being moved along, basically, through this tight corner. And you're heading out into the street, and you hear people, well, there's the sounds of voices everywhere. And you hear people exclaiming that They're excited to see what's being sold in market. Then from somewhere else, you hear somebody say, "For myself, I'd like to go to the tavern for a fresh ale." Sije, meanwhile, you notice that everybody around you, aside from your friends, is kind of avoiding you to the point that there's a bit of a gaping circle around you. And all the people beyond that circle are just jammed together like sardines in a can. But you're basically following the crowd along with your companions. Norren and Sije, what do you do?
Looking around, I see just a completely sardine situation and starting to feel a little bit uneasy. I keep thinking about what we have, these letters in our hands, but desire just a moment of quiet. So I join on that thought of joining. Let's head to the tavern. And I just shout, "Let's head to the tavern."
Okay, so let's give you an opportunity to make a roll of some kind for that. I guess for that we will do a persuasion check. So you're going to roll a d20, and I'm going to roll a counter roll. Ooh, boy. So you think a few people hear you, but generally nobody really seems to be interested in what you said. Although your friend Audie manages to come up beside you, your Azamar friend, and she doesn't seem to be having any struggle with the crowd at all. It's almost as if she can just make her way through the crowd, as if she hadn't been a ranger hiding in solitude for however many years. She nods to you. "The tavern in this town is called the Sparrow's Song."
The Sparrow's Song, eh? Just curious how you seem to be so adept at just the middle of all of this. How is this not making you nervous or uneasy?
She chuckles. "My life before ranging is my own business. None that I will speak of this day, but perhaps someday I'll tell you."
I suppose that's fair. I wonder if I've been out there too long at this point. Maybe it's time to just let loose a little bit.
As you're walking down, rather being moved down the street, you notice a little bit of a void filling up in the space ahead of you as you feel the presence of somebody walking that people are parting the crowd to make room for. And that is this Aarakocra, grumbling something about a letter, and he passes by you long enough that you're actually freed from your sardine packaging situation. You're no longer shoulder to shoulder with people. And generally the crowd seems more manageable after he passes by. And Sije, you also notice this Aarakocra passing by, and even though you're from the Always Dark, where Aarakocra are a familiar race, you've never seen one face to face. You've only seen them at a distance. They're a rather rare and elusive creature. He passes by you and your group, also mumbling about a lost letter. So your companion, Essa, throws a thumb over his shoulder, pointing at this Aarakocra as he passes by, and he jokes with you. "You know, these bird folk, they always have their feathers ruffled, from my understanding. We used to get them down in the Western Horns when I lived in Eshelsestu, which, as you recall, is the city you left when you arrived on the airships. But anyways, you two make your way down Market Street, and you hear a particular vendor is louder than all the others, and your attention is caught by their large donkey cart, just loaded with what you see as fresh produce, textiles, and various farm goods. Sije, you have a bit of an interest in, because you like to cook meals for your more fleshy companions.
Ooh, I'm gonna stop over there. They might have some good stuff.
So, Caitlin, you notice large figure of almost 6 feet height. Seems like a construct made almost entirely of stone. He has kind of devilish appearance. He has horns, 4 horns, a bit of a monstrous face, and large wings like bat wings. And he's approaching your stall. But generally there is an air of avoidance around him.
Well, this is definitely something I'm not used to, but, I glance over at my siblings, and I'm the oldest, so if anybody's gonna talk to this scary-looking dude, it's gonna be me. so that they don't have to.
So you take a step forward.
Yeah. And I would say that, Havi, you see a young 18 or so year old young lady with a lot of red hair, attractive, definite by human standards, dressed in a simple farmer's getup, so to speak.
Nice.
I'm sorry?
So, what do you exactly have here?
Well, we have quite a few things, sir. So we have, potatoes, cabbages, eggs, milk as well, flour for if you're interested in baking. I don't know if you are, but maybe you are. We have textiles, wool, cloth, and yarn for people who, make clothes or do knitting.
Caitlin, your brother Theodore rushes over all of a sudden, and he says, "Wow, what the heck is that thing?" And Sije, you see a young blonde kid.
I just glare at Theodore. And Theodore, one of the rules of our business is we do not refer to customers as things.
Taken aback, blinks and stammers. Sorry, Caitlin.
I don't think I'm the one you should be apologizing to. And I gesture over to the construct man.
Sorry, sir? Sorry, sir?
Don't mention it.
Sincere apologies about that, sir. If there's anything that you would like to purchase, I might be able to offer a little bit of something for free as a way of apologizing.
Don't worry about it.
While you two are talking, Sije, you kind of take stock of your companions, and you notice Malia is actually surprisingly absent. And you take a look around your surroundings, and you see she's not anywhere in sight at all. Nobody seems to be mentioning anything about her seemingly vanishing. Let's move back to Norren. So, Norren, you notice the exchange going on with redheaded female human lady and the strange construct you saw earlier. But generally, you see there's a lot of nice vegetables and things that might pair well with the fish that Audie purchased for you earlier.
I look at the food and kind of a hunger pang. I want to make something more of this food, but also the curiosity to see what's going on and see this creature once more again. I make my way over there and I walk up and I just sort of briefly give a mild hello to this construct I see. And then I ask, how much do these wares cost?
Yeah, actually, could I ask for a quick description of your character, please, so I know who I'm speaking to?
Yeah, so Norren is an elf with dark features. He has, dark hair, dark eyes, kind of hazel eyes, I would say. A light tan. He's rather short. He's 5'4", I believe, or 5'3", and he's wearing a green cloak with a fur collar and leather armor underneath.
Yeah, I see him come up. Hi there, sir. And just out of curiosity, he's an elf, right?
Yes.
So that means he's hot, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's super attractive.
I look over at Jalissa to see how she's reacting.
You're a little bit surprised to notice Jalissa isn't paying him much attention. But she seems to be more contemplating other folks passing by.
Oh, I mean, that's lucky for me, because as old as Billy McMurray is, this elf is probably 5 times older than he is, so that works.
And you also, you're somewhat familiar with elven customs as well, so you're keenly aware that he's probably not as young as he looks.
Uh-huh. I'm actually gonna speak to you in Elvish, and I say, would you prefer that I speak to you in Elvish, or would Common suffice?
Elvish, please. Thinking that it would be nice to just have a conversation between the two of us and kind of block out the crowd around us.
Well, if that makes things easier for you, I understand completely, sir. So, are you in the mood for anything to pair with... Oh, that's, you got that down at the docks, did you?
I did, yes.
Makes sense. Let me think. For fish, let's see. We do have some ears of corn that were harvested a short time ago. If you were to roast that a little bit over a fire, it'd be a nice vegetable to go along with that.
That actually sounds quite appetizing. How much does
Right.
this? How much would this be?
And take out an ear of corn, and I offer you a reasonable price for one ear.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this. And now, contemplating what is going on around me, I just I pay for the corn, and I briefly look back over at this giant creature standing next to me and wondering what is just going on with this. He still seems there so brooding.
Sorry, Sije. Essa and Jazz tap you on the shoulder, and they're like, sorry, Jazz speaks and says, how about we go to the tavern if you're all done here?
Sounds good.
And meanwhile, Caitlin, you notice a familiar face coming out of the tavern. It's actually the innkeeper, and his name is Tallis Mallory. He's I'd say a peak middle-aged man. He's got a reduced hairline, but generally speaking, it's mostly blonde and gray with some male pattern baldness arising. He's a little bit heavier set, but generally you can tell he was a working man in his earlier life because he has somewhat of musculature about him.
He's got that dad bod.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
he waves across the street, across Market Street at you.
Tallis! Mr. Mallory, sir! And yeah, I head across the way.
Hi, McReady. Yeah, to join me inside and we'll discuss which cattle you have ready to retire soon come the next fall.
That sounds like quite the plan, sir. I can think of, maybe one bull who's gotten a bit lame in his left hind leg, so, I think, getting a little gray in the muzzle as well. So I can, just let me speak to my siblings, and I quickly go over and talk to Theo and Thea. Alright, so, I need to speak with Mr. Mallory, so can I ask for the two of you to just look after the stall and, do some sales while I'm inside?
Okay, so the twins, Thea and Theo, they're happy to oblige. Jalissa rolls her eyes, realizing she's going to be the babysitter. And
Jalissa?
Ashley, Jalissa kind of mumbles non-response back to you.
I'm sorry, what was that, Jalissa? Could you speak up a bit, please?
Yeah, I'll watch the others, Kate.
Thank you. I understand that this is important, and you do know that Mom and Dad and I, we do appreciate it.
And meanwhile, Ashlyn is just being perfect and
Of course.
cute as hell.
All right. I give her a kiss on the top of her head, and then I head over to the tavern.
Okay, so you arrive in the tavern. All of you actually arrive of your own accord for different reasons. Tallis and Kate, you both head over to the table on the left, which you know as the staff table, basically. So I can actually put your token on so you know, just so everybody knows. So you're going to be seated there. Tallis is in the other seat.
Oh,
Meanwhile, Sije, you come in the front door, we'll say about there, with your companions who are beside you, except for Malia, who you don't know where she is. And Norren, you are coming in right behind them with your companion Audie.
And I look to Audie and say, I have to use the washroom. I'll be right back.
Okay, so you somehow have a sense for where the bathroom is. So your character heads there. Sije, well, as a matter of fact, you don't really drink. You don't really know what to do here, but your friends are pretty into the idea of sharing a few ales. How do you respond to your current situation?
Sid is mostly curious about the atmosphere, just seeing who's around. As
So-
it's like his first time out.
So you take a look around, and most of the chairs in the building are occupied. There are actually a few spaces at the bar, and you notice that there's also some chairs around a hearth to the left of the building. Then, other than that, there's a common tail to the right side of the building that is mostly empty, but there is actually a bunch of cluttered, basically dirty glasses and mugs and stuff. But you don't generally use silverware, plates, and stuff like that unless you're preparing food for your friends, so you don't really get how unpleasant it is to sit at a dirty table. So your companions, Jazz, as the leader of the group, motions to the bar. Well, pull up a stool, mates.
I'm gonna cautiously sit on one of them.
Okay, so you you sit on a stool that's definitely too small for you, but you don't know. You just take a seat and it creaks with the sound of strain under your body. Generally, it seems to hold. And Norren, you get out of the bathroom and you take a look to your left, and you notice that farm girl who you bought goods from earlier is talking to somebody at a table that only has 2 chairs. You see your friend Adi is sitting at a chair next to the hearth, basically to the right of you, which is the left side of the building.
I decided to go sit over by the hearth and sit down and just kind of gather and watch the situation unfold, because I'm going back into what I normally do and just observing things from being out for so long, and I am very intrigued by some mass of people sitting around and looking over at this giant creature at the bar.
Caitlin, you and Talus are discussing the bull that's getting ready to retire in the fall. You know, he kind of breaks away from the conversation. He says, well, how about all these adventurers around town lately?
Yeah, they've been coming in. Apparently some letters have been going around to people. Apparently some folks are interested in something going on involving like an island that's supposed to appear out of nowhere.
Ah, yes. So the story goes, as the moon wakes, a large new landmass is supposed to appear. So Carol Zillaru, the president of the Nature and Goodness Preservation Society, is actually going to make an appearance at the docks, where we expect, well, one of the great animal deities is going to make an appearance.
I mean, they can do all that. I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, right now it's just good business for me and the homestead. So, you know, I'm happy about that at least.
He laughs, and you get a kind of a sense that he's in agreement with you, but he continues on. Yes, well, about those letters, apparently they have a whole section of the shore cordoned off only for people who bear one of those letters.
Huh. Wait, you mean only the people who have a letter are allowed to go down and all that?
Yes, exactly that. Apparently the folks at the Nature and Goodness Preservation Society, well, they paid for quite a considerable amount of land on the southern end of town, aside from the dock. They're generally our new landlords, the elves and Azamars of that organization.
And they sent out the letters specifically to people. Like, it wasn't... They don't just get thrown around by accident.
Well, I've been told none of the letters are addressed, but they've only been handed to people of notable skill and repertoire throughout the land.
And I just look fucking baffled at this because, like, I'm just, like, one of the most ordinary people I can think of, so I'm, like, genuinely confused as to why the hell they thought I should get one.
He notices that you have a look of bewilderment on your face. And he kind of laughs. He's like, well, young McCready, when are you ready to leave that farm of yours? We could always use some more hands at the tavern here.
Honestly, look, I have given it some thought, but my family does need me. I mean, I've got a bunch of younger siblings to look after. I mean, my mom, she just had her 13th earlier this year. And no signs of slowing down just yet. And, you know, with Granddad, and, rest his soul. I gotta make sure everyone's okay. And, I don't know, I'm thinking, continue to do work on the farmstead, build things up, maybe make a family of my own someday. Haven't really given much thought to work outside of that.
Well, young McCready, things, in my experience, people tend to find their own lot in life of their own means. And for some people, that's staying at home. And for others, well, they may find out one way or another that bigger ambitions await them in the future.
Well, more power to them, I say, but hey, whatever makes them happy, because I, Caitlin McCready, am perfectly fine being exactly where I am, right here on this island.
So he chuckles once again, and he rummages through his pockets, pulling out a small coin purse, and he slides it over the table to you. Well, consider this a down payment for that promising bow later in the year. We're always in need of prime cutlets, and I do not want somebody snatching that thing up under me.
Consider it as good as yours, sir. I'll let my folks know the news, and if anybody else comes by, we'll say that the old chap has already spoken for.
All right, so as you're basically getting ready to part ways, you notice that the raucous in the tavern seems to die down as the door creaks open, and you hear a heavy thumping of a staff hitting the floor. And this is actually something you're somewhat familiar with, because the eldest person on the island is an inhabitant of Windswept Town, and his name is Rainier Benson. So Benson, Elder Benson, is walking in the entryway, and everybody is basically silenced at his presence in respect. He is, as a matter of fact, one of the original humans who came into existence around the same time as Windswept Isle, or appeared on the island as a young infant when Windswept Island was created.
To quickly clarify, the island was created pretty much almost 100 years ago to this day, right?
Exactly. So he is very old. He is 99 years and 355 days old.
That's as old as I feel.
And
then,
as a matter of fact, Norren, you have heard of him, but only from when you were a younger elf, when you were a child. You heard of the creation of the humans, and you heard all of their names, and as time went by, even though you lived in seclusion, you would occasionally hear of some of the original humans dying. After a certain amount of time, people would say only Elder Benson was still around, and he seemed to be going on as if forever. So he's making his way into the entrance. Sije, you don't even notice anything's going on because you're not familiar with taverns. You don't know the precariousness of a raucous dying down in such a setting. But you do see that your friends lean over their shoulders, seem to be raising their eyebrows, almost impressed. From the entryway, the three of you all hear, Well then, I see a room still has the respect to be quiet for their eldest firstborn male. People kind of laugh at that a little bit, because he's kind of being cheeky. Nobody actually knows if he's the firstborn male of Windswept Isle, because nobody was specifically around to see them being born, or even knows where they came from. But you know, Caitlin specifically, that a good chunk of the island is actually descended from this guy. So he makes his way into the opening where there's no tables. And this is generally where people come in the tavern when they have an announcement to make. He clears his throat and holds up a stone tablet, 4.5 inches in width, roughly, and 2 inches in length, which Norren, you notice looks familiar, and you kind of take a look at the tablet he's holding up, but you don't see the familiar markings from your tablet on it. And he holds the tablet up. He clears his throat. Well, the newcomers are supposed to take a look into the tablet and bear witness to our great deities who bestowed this gift upon us. Caitlin, you feel like he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but you have no idea what he's on about. And you generally see a confused look on everybody's face in the room.
Okay, then. I feel a bit sorry for the old man who's maybe, gone a bit senile a few years ago.
So I want you all to roll perception checks.
I was just about to bring up that stone too. Perception check.
Okay, it looks like, Havi, you notice the stone tablet. There's something eerie about it. It's almost like it's sending you negative energy vibes. It doesn't bode a very comforting feeling to you. Like, normally you would see a stone tablet like that and you'd be like, oh, dinner. But now you're looking at that thing and you're like, what the hell is that guy doing holding that thing up in the middle of the room? You don't know what's the deal with it, but it does not give you a good feeling. And Norren, you notice the similarity between that and your own tablet. And your friend Audie kind of notices your expression as, everybody's looking around at the old man as if he's confused. But your expression is a little bit different, as if you might know something they don't.
I sit there and look up from the fire, and I can, seeing him hold up this stone, I could just feel the presence of the weight in my bag. And it made me all too aware of it. And I'm watching around as everybody looks at this man like he's crazy, while I know I didn't realize there was more than one of these. And now the curiosity is taking over me to find out more about what the object this man was holding up.
Okay, so Audie notices the concern on your face. She actually whispers to you, "What is it, Norren? What do you know about that thing?"
I look I look back and I just say, I've seen one of these before. That is not the only one of these that exists.
She scoffs. What? A stone slate? I've seen plenty in my time.
Realizing that I was lost in my thoughts and kind of leaving out some of the information, and it's like, I just turn and look like there could be more to meets the eye. Could there, though? Could there not?
Maybe. Are you trying to purposely be vague out of curiosity?
Generally, yeah. I mean, just...
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if anyone knew that I had this yet, and if I was holding on to a secret. Like, that was kind of the impression that I had in my head.
Okay, cool. Let's do a deception check. Okay, she stands up and walks over to you and grabs you by the collar. What are you hiding from me, Norren?
I look and I thinking that I should hold on to this and keep it a secret, and I look and just say, this is not the first one of these I have seen. This is not what seems like a commonplace stone I have found before, and there's something deeply, deeply wrong with this.
And you, Caitlin, notice the kerfuffle kind of going on over there. It piques your interest because you don't often see people in such an aggressive state at this time of day. It is during the 10 days of night, closer to the end of the cycle, so people are generally tired and they don't pick fights at this point of time. And Sije, your companions catch your attention because they're both leaning out of their stools to look at what's going on over there. Surprisingly, most of the rest of the room doesn't seem to care. They're all kind of chuckling about the old man with the tablet. So Caitlin, the old man, he approaches the table where you and Talus are sat, and he holds the tablet out in front of you.
In front of me?
Yep. And he says, "Are you prepared to bear witness, young lady?"
It depends on what I'm bearing witness to, sir.
He chuckles. "Well, this is actually the naming stone. Most people don't know this, but when me and my brothers and sisters came to this island, we all received this stone where our names were given to us on it. Well, in this late day and age, they've seemingly faded." And he holds the stone out to you. I want you to roll a perception check.
Wow, I cannot roll worth anything today. That is a 9.
Yep.
Yeah, this not been treating me well either.
Yeah, I mean, if this was that crucial, I would force the roll for you guys, but I'm expecting some of you to fail it anyways.
I got so confident when I was in person with you, boy, and now I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah. But you guys got all the good rolls during character creation.
Yeah.
I guess so. I'm paying for it now.
Yeah, right?
So he holds the tablet out in front of you, but you're actually kind of surprised that there's actually a story behind the tablet. Maybe he's not as insane as you thought he was, or he's not as senile as you thought he was.
Okay, so... And, yeah, I'm just looking at the stone tablet, kind of, willing to humor him if it'll, maybe get him away from the table a little sooner.
So then he nods, good girl, and he shows the tablet to Talus, who Talus nods and laughs. Very good, old man. Thank you for your time. Norren, he approaches you as well and holds out the tablet. Audie is still holding on to you tightly, but her grip loosens as he approaches. And you're going to roll a perception check again. You're just like, you're just speechless. Like, you want to know what this thing is about, but you have no clue.
I just see myself getting shooken by the neck and just kind of like a ragdoll thing at this point.
And Audie looks at it a little bit differently. You notice that she almost seems hypnotized by that stone, and she is just staring at the stone with her mouth semi-agape. And the old man makes a half smile, and then he walks away without explanation. You guys notice the room is starting to pick up again as he makes his way to each table, and then he makes his way to Sije, Jazz, and Essa. And he shows the tablet to Jazz first. Jazz, you notice, Sije, that Jazz has a very nervous look on his face that you can't quite tell why. So the old man shows the tablet to you next, and you're going to roll a perception check. So you don't see anything particularly noteworthy about the tablet either.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're batting 1,000.
Doing amazing, guys.
That stone is still lunch.
Yeah, and Essa looks at the stone. He leans over your shoulder to look at the stone. Then he pats you on the back and he's like, well, it's a stone slate, I guess. And he sits back down. But Jazz looks a little shooken as the man departs to the next table. And he looks over to you and says, when I looked at the stone, the names appeared to me as bright as day. Letters were carved out of the stone as if carved brand new.
Did they say anything? Like any name?
There were 20 names, and all of them were crossed out, except for one name, and that name was Rainier Benson.
Crossed out names, but one is still clear as day.
And then you recall the elder's name is Rainier Benson.
So you said I could read the stone, correct? It was in Elvish that I could read?
Your stone, the stone you had, has 10 numbers on it.
And
Basically, yeah, it's basically at from 1 to 9 and then 0. And it's in the the infernal script, which you know because you know the abyssal language, which uses the infernal script.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. And actually, while we're on that, I will also quickly mention that although people know infernal or abyssal in this world, which you are aware of because you do, it's more like people know it because there's kind of a culture of obsession about evil appearing someday in the future. And these are generally not languages used by good folk, which the denizens of the Cloudsea are. So that's perhaps why the artifact you found is troubling to you. Because why would a hidden stone artifact have script in an evil language. So Audie kind of eases up her hold on you, and she looks at you and says, "Names appeared to me on the stone tablet when I gazed on it."
Names, you say? I'm looking back down at the stone. I say, "What do you see when I show you this one?"
And you pull out the tablet, kind of concealing it between the two of you. Her eyes shift in countenance. She looks very troubled when you show her that tablet. "Put that thing away," she whispers. "Where did you find such a thing? That script is infernal."
To clarify also, so this was the script infernal on the other ones with the names?
So, well, you didn't see it, so you don't know, but...
Okay. I didn't
yeah.
see the stone at all. I thought I saw him hold it up.
No, you saw the tablet, but there were... When you looked on it, it was a blank slate.
Gotcha.
And she's saying when she looked at it, names appeared on the tablet. So she ushers you to put the thing back in your pocket and hide it after saying, "Where did you find such a thing?"
I found this deep, deep, deep in the forest at this shrine, hidden probably more farther away than anything I've come across in my days. And I've been holding on to it, unknown about what it is. All I knew is that I've seen this language before, and not often spoken, but something always troubled me about this. Something that just never stood right with me.
So she senses that you're telling the truth. She breathes a heavy sigh. "I've been looking for such a object in the Timbershire for my entire period of ranging. It's the whole reason I went to Timbershire in the first place."
How long have you been searching for this?
She kind of looks up as if thinking, and she speaks, "Well, I'm 102, and I believe I departed my homeland when I was 24, so almost 80 years.
80 years? This is not something I sought to seek out either. This is what's been troubling me about this language. This is a language I've known and I've studied, and I never thought I would come across it. But then I find this stone. I just happened to be pulled in this direction one day. I just never thought I would see another one like it, nor did I ever think I would see this language written so clearly on something so ancient."
Caitlin, meanwhile, you're getting out of your chair now, preparing to depart ways with Alice, and you kind of noticed that Audie and Norren, the elf and Azamar, who are kind of wearing similar garb, they're similarly dressed. You noticed that they were having a kind of altercation, but now they seem to be kind of trying to conceal something.
Okay.
So you make your way away from the table, and, well, you can choose whether you want to keep going or interact with them.
Okay, so this elf and this Asimar, they were among the adventurers I saw going through the street earlier, right? And they seem to be talking about something?
Yeah. And they seem troubled as well.
Oh.
And you just noticed that they were, well, she had held him by the scruff of the neck, and particularly well-muscled, being of Azamar origin rather than Elvish. So you think maybe it's a bit of an unfair situation where she might have an advantage over him.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm a little confused with this whole tablet thing and what's going on, and I head on over. Excuse me, can't help but seem to notice that you maybe have an idea of something involving that tablet, or what that was all about. Just curious, if you happen to know anything or have any idea what that old man was on about?
So Norren, you consider, first of all, you're taken a bit aback that somebody noticed what you two, or noticed that you two were kind of off to yourselves, I'll say. But you consider the words she said and whether you want to tell this total stranger anything.
I sit and I debate. Norren thinks to himself, he's like, should I keep this a secret? But at the same time, there's just too many strange coincidences with these letters, with everything being gathered, with this person all of a sudden holding one up. And I think it might be better to actually begin talking about this. And so I hold out the stone to this person who's standing in front of me.
So, Caitlin, you see a stone tablet similar to the Elders, but it has a bunch of scratchy looking markings that you've never seen before. They just look like vague symbols.
So you've got one too then?
I do. What do you feel anything when you see this? What does it invoke any feelings in you? What does this make you feel?
I squint.
You squint and you just see a regular stone tablet.
I just shrug and shake my head. Nothing, really.
Interesting. No, I stare kind of questioningly, and then I put it away, debating. Like, I put it away, just curious. Like, okay, well,
So
maybe just forget it then. Curious in my head now. Maybe I should show other people to see the difference in people's reactions.
So among the tables nearest to all of you, you hear the occasional person mumbling something about seeing names on the stone. And meanwhile, Benson is making his way back to the entryway, passing behind Sije as he does so.
And so you said I hadn't seen the stone, or well, actually, not part of my head. Okay, so yeah, I get up and make my way over to him, and I tap him on the shoulder.
Sorry, and where do you have your tablet at this point in time?
I have put it back into my whatever bags I'm holding onto. I put it into my cloak.
So you tap on his shoulder. Oh, yes, young wood elf. Well, should I call you senior?
I chuckled to myself a little bit and say, I suppose so. But where? Out of curiosity, where did you find that stone you were holding up? It's quite intriguing to me.
Well, me and my brothers and sisters, there were 20 of us, come the birth of this island. And, those days I don't remember so well, being such a young lad, but as far back as I remember, we had this tablet, and he holds it out. And this tablet used to have 20 names on it, but the names have faded with time. But it's been around as long as I have.
20 names, you say? The names of people you knew?
Yes, the names of all my brothers and sisters, and me.
Well, that's kind of strange, don't you think? If you didn't create the stone, your names were there?
And he kind of laughs and holds out his free hand in a wave and gesture. Well, yes, it is kind of strange, but wouldn't you say this entire land that we find ourselves in is rather strange? According to where your fair bearers came from, this Cloudsea is completely different than anything they knew.
I laughed to myself, kind of making light of the situation. Like, I suppose you're right. People of our age have seen very many of the strangest things.
Then, as you're exchanging words with him, you consider whether you want to show him your tablet or not.
I debate, and I sit there, and something tells me inside to hold on to the secret, but at the same time, this might be a clue as to what we have in front of us. So, I look at him and say, "Well, I have one thing to show you, sir. I'm not sure if you've come across this before, but what do you think of this?" And I slowly reach into my cloak and I pull out the stone and I briefly turn it face up to where you can see the lettering and script.
As you pull out the stone tablet from your pocket, you notice the number corresponding to 0 starts pulsating. And then in your mind's ear, you hear speech in an unfamiliar language, and it says,
Zemi lefpi kier tilazki taped iziv iwivu idiv edi I view id zemi air riser or offers emir iwu zilti.
As he's holding out the stone, hearing those noises, it quickly makes a quick sudden jump as something scared him and pulls it back.
Okay, and Audie, who's by your side, is like, What are you on about?
And I look at her and I whisper to her, Did you not hear what I just heard?
What did you heard something?
You did not?
I only heard you and the old man and whatever ruckus is going on around us.
Feeling uneasy, I'm starting to feel nervous. I decide obviously this is the first time I've seen the stone react to something, and then I once again pull it out slowly and even more slowly turn the stone around and ask him, "What do you think of this?"
She snatches it out of your hand. Audie does before you can do anything, and then you notice she's taken aback for a few moments, and then after a few moments, she whispers to you, "Put this away. And she motions for you to go back to where you were sat before.
I whispered back, "Are you sure this is the only chance to find out something about this stone?"
She whispers back, "I might know more about it than you previously thought."
Staring in a very inquisitive look and staring like someone's been hiding something from me, I slowly put it back and I make my way back over to the hearth.
Sije, you noticed the commotion going on behind you while these two people were joking and then pulled out their tablets, which kind of makes you feel a little bit hungry, to be honest. And your friends noticed as well, but, Jazz just looks totally bewildered. He doesn't look too off-put anymore, but you still see confusion on his face.
I wonder if they have any tasty rocks.
You ask the bartender if they have any rocks. She's a young lass of about the age of the vendor you saw outside earlier. And she just says, "What, have you got rocks for brains?"
Oh, yes.
Oof.
And she blinks. "Oh, well, okay then." And she goes off to some other customers.
Are rocks for brains not common here?
Essa laughs quite heavily, or heartily, I should say. And he just says, Sije, nobody but you has rocks for brains.
Oh.
Although some might seem like it.
Ooh.
And Caitlin, you're kind of just moseying along. You're still in the general area you were, but you noticed Norren and Audi talking to Benson, and you were kind of waiting for them to get out of the doorway, and you saw all the commotion. But when they passed back by, you noticed Audi was hushing Norren, basically.
Can I roll like an insight check to sort of see, what might be going on, or perception check or something?
We'll say, we'll do with passive perception. We'll say that you noticed first of all, when Norren pulled out the tablet, he was kind of frozen in time for a moment, but he had a contemplative look on his face, as if he was trying to understand something. Then, when he put the tablet away and brought it back out, you saw Addie snatch the tablet, and the look on her face was one of knowingness. It was more revealing. And you remember the three of you were discussing the tablet just moments before. It seems like Addie might now know more than she knew when Norren showed it to you earlier.
Okay, so she's discovered something new about this, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or that's what
And
I'm getting.
you have a sense that that's what went down, based on your natural passive perception.
Yeah, I'm gonna head over.
Okay.
Hey, me again. Sorry to bother you. I'm just feeling a bit curious. Have you picked up on something since the last time we spoke?
So Audie looks at you with a discerning gaze. You kind of get the sense that she's trying to gauge you as a person, but then she shrugs and nods, and you see her loosen up a bit. And she says, "Well, when I touched the stone tablet, words appeared to me telepathically in my mind, and those words were in the infernal language. For all intents and purposes, is never spoken outside of academia on the Cloudsea."
Wait, infernal language. That's like the words of devil folk and all that, isn't it?
Yes. Let's get you to do an insight check, actually.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's looking a lot better. 22.
Okay, you notice she is very nervous at the talk of devil folk, and she's hiding something.
I don't know what it is you're concerned about, but if you think something might be the matter, I mean, if people are getting letters and something's going on that might concern a bunch of us, I think it's best maybe we, keep each other in the loop if something odd's going on.
She just blurts out, "There's no devil folk on the Cloudsea. There's never been devil cloak on the Cloudsea."
All right, sorry I said anything then.
But in any case, she, knowing that you don't mean any harm, she's actually going to offer up what the stone said. She expresses, I actually learned the infernal tongue in my earlier life. I was a studious girl before reaching adulthood. But before I left my home, I studied the abyssal and infernal tongues, as many of my folk do. And the words that came to my mind were, I'm sorry, the number cannot be reached as dialed. Press 0 to speak to the operator.
That's weird. What does that even mean?
And Norren, you know that the numbers on the... Because you're familiar with the infernal script only because the abyssal language, which you know, uses the infernal script. But you don't know infernal yourself. But you do know which symbol corresponds to 0.
What does that even mean?
Adi cuts in, it means either you press 0 or you don't.
Oh, what does that even mean, press 0?
She shrugs. She doesn't really know.
Knowing that the only thing I know is 0, I slightly put my finger and start slowly push, feeling the caresses of the imprint of the stone over to 0. As people are saying this, thinking there must be something special about this.
So when you press the symbol, you feel the stone, it warms up a little bit, and it glows faintly with a reddish-orange hue, and a figure not unlike the construct you saw sitting at the bar materializes out of the stone tablet, although this figure is very skinny and small. We're talking like maybe 10 inches tall, and he's just hovering above the tablet, and he's kind of glowing with a red-orange aura. And the three of you look around. Nobody seems to notice anything, except for the three of you.
I jump back in shock.
What are we looking at?
The creature clears its throat in preparation of speaking. Well, welcome. I'm the operator then, and my name is Track. Track the Stone Slate Imp. What business do you have with the operator today?
I look side to side, clearly noticing that nobody else sees this, and then I look at the person next to me, and I just had to kind of look exasperated.
Oh, yes, you're wondering why no one else can see me, I guess. Well, it's an aura. The aura has an area of effect, and ergo, anybody outside of that aura cannot see me.
What exactly is your purpose?
Well, I'm the operator. I tell people how to reach other people.
Operator of exactly what, though?
Well, who do you want to reach?
Wait, who are you exactly?
I'm Track, the operator, the Stone Slate Imp.
And what? This is all very confusing. Why? I mean, what are...
Where are you from?
Yes, that.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Slightly bemused and kind of starting to get slowly impatient, I say, where are you from? Who are you? What is your story?
Well, I'm from the Stone Slate. And my story is, I come out of the Stone Slate when people press 0. And then I tell them what they want to know. Usually, where to find somebody.
And who exactly do you know exists? I just keep asking very vague questions, trying to gather information that clearly this stone is not answering. So
the Stone Slate's imp pulls out, he rummages into his immaterial pockets, his ethereal pockets, one might say, and he pulls out a smaller stone slate, and he starts to press a whole bunch of things on it with his pointed clawed finger. He says a few things in a harsh language similar to the one you heard earlier, Norren, and then he says, well, I don't actually know that many people. Let's see, I know Misera, Naughty Rebecca Snail Splitter, and, well, Elder Benson.
I look over at the person next to me and ask, what do you make of this?
I'm lost. I'm very lost right now.
Adi also shrugs, and she speaks up, I thought I knew what this was going to be about, but it turned out to be something totally different.
What were you thinking?
Sorry, you said that you could contact other people who, could you repeat those names again?
Yes, Misera, Naughty Rebecca Snail Splitter, and Elder Benson.
Could you tell us about a little bit more about each of them?
Well, naughty Rebecca Snail Splitter. Yeah, well, I have a number here. I have Mizra's number, and I also have Rainier Benson and his number, but, well, I don't know anything else about them.
Benson, you say?
Rainier Benson.
Yes, Rainier. Elder Rainier Benson.
I look over at my new acquaintance, raising my eyebrows.
I look back with the exact same expression and slowly mutter before someone seems to answer the same thing to me. Should we call this person?
Where is the old man right now?
He walked out, didn't he?
You see his silhouette making its way through the portal of the doorway as the door swings shut.
I run after him, hold the door open so I can watch him leave, and then I just, call back. Yeah, try calling him right now.
And are you following Norren, or are you staying where you are while she yells that out?
Oh, I'm following. I have to know.
Okay, so as you follow, you actually notice the people nearest to you, like, one guy falls out of his stool as you run past. Then the three folks at the bar, the drow construct and the Yuan-Ti, their eyes all widen. And Sije, as these guys approach you, running by in a hurry, you see something that looks not too unlike yourself appear above the tablet that they're holding. It has a red-orange silhouette, a glowing silhouette. That thing is also holding a tablet, but it's shaped similarly to you with bat-like wings, overall fiendish appearance, but he's much more spindly than you.
I'm gonna get up and follow.
And Norren, do you want to make the call?
I do, yes.
Okay, so not really getting how this whole thing works. You just say, "What's the number for Benson?" And the imp repeats a string of numbers, which you diligently press one by one. And when you press the 7 numbers, the tablet starts to vibrate. Caitlin, what you see is the tablet Benson is holding start to glow and vibrate. He holds it up. It's glowing blue, whereas the other one was like a red-orange hue. His is glowing blue, and he just taps something and he says, "Hello? Who is it?"
And does his voice come through on the other end?
Yeah, sorry, Norren. You hear his voice kind of muffled in your ears. Sorry, but it's almost telepathically, and you hear it come through. "Yes, who is it?"
I nearly dropped the stone I'm holding just out of sheer shock of just this. This is a totally new experience and new sensation, and I feel it. Say, "It is Benson?" And I say rather questioningly.
Yes, it's me. How did you know my name?
Never mind. How did you answer this?
Well, I just picked it up and answered it.
And how did you know what to do with this?
And as you're talking, I am gesturing at you to follow me and head outside to where Benson actually is.
I follow, trying to just keep Benson on the phone to figure out more information while still making eye contact to follow.
And then you are all... Sije, do you follow as well?
Yeah. I'm right on their heels.
Okay, so you all... and Sije, you can also... Actually, you were close enough. You were in the aura, and you could hear Benson talking as well, so you're kind of taken aback as well. But you guys find yourself out in the street, in the market, on Market Street. But the street has started to empty. You guys aren't too worried about that, because you're all enraptured in what's going on. But you do take note that there's not very many people in the street anymore.
Looking back, I just keep asking him, Benson, okay, so have you done this before? Clearly you know how to use this.
Well, actually, I haven't talked to many people before, just once in a while.
Once in a while? How often is once in a while, would you say?
Oh, let's see. He holds up his fingers. 1, 2... I'd say it's happened about once every 30 years. Except now this is... Well, the last time was when I was 90, so I guess now the average is every 25 years.
Feeling completely exasperated by how casual he is. And who called you last time?
I believe her name was Mizra?
Mizra. And before that?
Also Mizra.
And you've never... That was the last time you spoke to this person?
Well, yes, it was about 10 years ago.
Tell me more about this person.
Well, she called me, and she had a lovely voice, I might add, but she asked how I was doing, and I told her I was doing fine. Since the last time we spoke, I'd gotten a little bit older, and she said that's to be expected. But she wished me good health, and we parted our conversation, and I haven't heard from her since.
And how long ago did you say this was?
Roughly 10 years ago.
10 years.
And so, as you're all carrying on, you hear somebody yelling in the distance, "Adventurers, this way! Come to the cordon-off zone by the shore. The Centennial celebration is about to begin."
So, yeah, I guess I hear this, and are we near Benson yet, or anything like that?
Yeah, you're actually right next to him, but you notice when he hears the calling, he actually shuffles in that direction pretty quickly.
So I look over at my newest acquaintance, and I just say to you, I think we might have to wait until after whatever all this is before we can maybe chat to him again.
Probably a good idea, but do you think we should try to talk to him while we're close, or should we just try to call him again?
I think whatever's going on, maybe, like, look at him. He's a bit easily distracted, shall we say?
You notice he's shuffling along at an impressive rate as well.
Yeah.
For somebody his age.
Yeah, like, look at him go. Like, honestly, he seems to be a fellow who's easily distracted, so maybe we can speak to him after all this is over.
It might be best. Feeling flustered about the situation, I realized we could probably call him and then say, "All right, let's find out what's going on over here," and turn to face the crowd.
So actually, let's get the two of you to roll perception checks as well.
Ooh, okay.
Hey, doing better.
Okay, so
All right.
the both of you notice the three folks who were at the bar are eavesdropping, and they're in your personal bubble.
I look back to you, or I look back to you, Norren, and I think we've attracted maybe a little bit of attention. Maybe we can keep this thing moving?
I think that might be better. That might be best.
All right. Yeah, like, this is a weird situation, and I'm, like, fully invested into what this weird tablet is and why it's connected to this old man and stuff. So, now, with something interesting going on, I head back to my siblings and I quickly check in to see how they're doing.
You see Jalissa's, she's not watching the others, but the others seem to be, Dorothy and Theodore rather, are watching Ashlyn, but Jalissa's kind of just like playing with her nails and running her other hand through her hair.
Right, the medieval equivalent of texting on her phone, I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
she jumps out of her seat. "Oh, Caitlin, are you coming back to work, or?"
Am I going to be working anytime soon? I could be asking you that very same question, Jalissa.
"Oh, well, there's nobody else to sell stuff to, though." She gestures around, and you actually take note that everybody seems to be gone from the street. Even the other vendors are starting to pack up, and you see some of the ones that you're familiar with are making their way down the street as well.
All right, I suppose that's fair. I have to take care of one more thing. Tell you what, if all of you get the cart ready, I'll meet you all back here in about, in a bit. I'll be ready to go soon.
Dorothy and Theodore they're happy to oblige as usual, and Jalissa's just like, whatever. And Ashlyn is, well, she's adorable, so.
Yeah, of course.
Void, real quick, what was my companion's name again? I'm sorry.
Adi. It's spelled A-D-I. You guys were making your way south down Market Street, and you notice peasant folk and the like, townspeople going to the right, adventurer-looking people geared up with weapons, backpacks, what have you, are going the other way. So you notice Benson is going that way, and you follow. You make your way. Sorry, it's Audie, Norren, and Kate make their way here with Javi's group, Sije, Jazz, and Ezza following behind about 10 feet, like a comfortable distance. That obviously the people in front of you know that you're following them. They have a general sense, you guys have a general sense that they saw what was going on too, and they're curious. So you make your way, and you see the commotion picking up as you approach the shore, kind of like fencing in, and there is a gate with ushers looking at people's letters as the adventurers hold them out, and then they're pointing them down roped off pathways going to different parts of the shoreline. You approach the first group of 3 approaches the ushers. They hold their hands out wanting to see your notes or wanting to see your letters.
Well, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be going with any of the adventurers, but I figure I can just stick my head in and see what's going on, because the whole thing with the tablet has been probably the most interesting thing to happen in ages, so I might as well keep this going and see where this adventure leads.
Hey.
I hold out my letter.
The usher looks down at the letter and then looks up to you, and you actually recognize him from the town, and he just kind of smiles and says, Caitlin McReady. Wow, well, you can go off the pathway marked with the sign 2 above it, and you notice that there's...
Right.
You notice that there's pathways marked from 1 to 5.
Hey, I gotta ask, do you know if there's any, do you know anything about why this is going on today, or?
He nods. Yeah, so the Carol Zillaru guy, he bought off all the shoreline just south of here. Pretty much going to all the way to the eastern side of the port. It sounds like they're planning to set up some kind of guild for adventurers involving exploring the new island that's about to come into being.
Right. I did remember they talked a bit about that in the letter, so okay, I guess... That definitely sounds interesting, I'll say that. Thank you.
Yeah, don't mention it. As he takes your letter, you actually notice Benson has filed through, and he's also going through the second line. While you make your way through the entrance to the cordoned off area, the usher stamps you surprisingly, on the back of your palm with an ink mark with the number 2 on it.
All right, then.
Then Audie hands him a letter, and she gets marked with the number 1. So she kind of scoffs and says, well, looks like I'm not going with you. And then Norren, the usher, hands his hand out impatiently to you.
Keeping an eye on everything that's happening, I ask, what do these numbers mean? What do they associate with? Or where are you sending?
Well, basically, we have to have the right number of people going to each section, so we're corresponding with one another who are working under this event to make sure that each area doesn't get too overcrowded with spectators.
Spectators? What are we spectating?
I guess Carol Zillaru has announced that he has it on good authority that the creation of the island is about to commence, and the wolf will soon wake.
Looking back and keeping an eye on Benson and looking at our new companions, I hold the letter out and hold my hand out, just trying to see where I'm going, but also trying to keep an eye on everybody.
So he grabs an ink stamp and marks you with a number, and you see that the number is also 2.
I look like a 80 and Audie, and I just sort of make a smug little look on my face, like we're going to be following each other anyway, but I head over to line 2, fully knowing that we all intend to stick together.
So you guys make your way to the second line. Actually, the usher points you, he explains to you, the second line will go to the old armory. And you're making your way to the line, and Caitlin, you actually notice up on one of the building right here, you kind of see the shape of an Aarakocra looking out over the edge of the building, but he's kind of hiding a little bit. But you recognize him as the Aarakocra who lost his letter earlier.
I point up at him and I say to you, Norren, that fellow, I think he was looking for his letter earlier. There's a chance that he might not have found it, but he still wants to get in on, what he was invited to all the same.
And
you're right. Oh,
and meanwhile, Sije, Essa, and Jazz are approaching the usher as well. And Sije, the usher, holds out his hand to you.
Oh, here you go. And I just hand him my letter.
He stamps you with the number 2.
Yes.
Off to the old armory with you.
Woo.
So you line up behind Norren and Kate, and Audie is next to them, but separated by the rope, separating the first line to the second line.
yeah, Norren's probably a little relieved after she shook him up so much. It's like,
Yeah.
So
You know.
I'm gonna say that as the two of us are talking about the Aarakocra, that's when Sije catches up with both of us.
Yep, exactly.
So, oh, hi there. I guess all of us are kind of in the same situation then, huh?
Looks like it.
Right. Well, I don't know how long I'll be here. I have to get back to my siblings soon, but I suppose it's been long enough. It's been a bit rude of me not to make introductions and all that. Name's Caitlin McCready.
Norren.
I'm Sije.
Audie clears her throat, and I am Audie.
What was that? Can't hear you over there. I'm sorry. I'm still annoyed about being shaken up.
Then, Sije, you notice that Jazz walks by, and he holds up the back of his fist with a frown, and he has the number 5 on his. And ever the rule abider, he doesn't try to skip into the wrong line. Essa, on the other hand, comes over, and you can see him licking his finger and rubbing at the back of his hand, and he motions the back of his hand, and his hand has 3 on it. But as he makes his way into the second line, actually a couple of orcs come over, and one of them says, "Number 3 for you," and just sidles him along.
Darn.
Really keen on people being in the proper line and all that, huh?
Then Audie speaks up, "I know this Carol Zillaroof. They're ever the control freak." So anyways, you guys make your way through the line, which is moving rather slowly, but you notice, you don't know how, but Benson is way ahead of you guys in the line. He's like a couple dozen people ahead of you. It's like,
Right. Well, maybe we should keep moving. That strange old man is getting away from us.
Yeah,
You
he's
guys-
pretty fast.
yeah, he's surprisingly fast, and you guys make your way. Caitlin, you notice almost at the front of the line is the familiar tuft of hair that you associate with Virgil. But
Do I see any sign of that snake Billy McMurray?
you look around, and you don't actually see very many people you recognize or who you know intimately. There are a few humans you've seen around. You don't know many of the people here. But you trace your eyes across the small bay or inlet and roll a perception check.
Sure. Can I also, as part of this perception check, can this be like an assessment of how many people are here exactly?
Oh yeah, sure.
17.
Okay, so that's a good one. So you take stock of the lineup you're in, and there's about 30 to 35 people in the line. And you notice that the line wraps around to the front of the building, and you can see partial opening as if there's a lot more empty space up ahead. Meanwhile, Audie is separating from your guys' group, and you see her gathering in front of the beach in front of the shipyard by the beach where a bunch of other people are gathering. You do see some various adventurers you saw walking through the street in that direction. Norren, you can roll a perception check as well. You also see all the things Caitlin is saying, but where you notice Audie, you also see the dark elf Alisaria, who you met boarding the ferry to Windswept Isle from Timbershire. And meanwhile, Caitlin, you keep looking across, and your eyes are locking onto the edge of the dock, roughly here. This is about I'm going to say this is about 75 feet away from where you guys are, or maybe a little bit farther. And you actually see Billy McMurray over there, and you see that that area is not, it doesn't seem to be associated with the cordoned off area. That dock is loaded up with villagers and townspeople. There's a lot.
Just a real quick question about earlier. What was that person's name who Benson was talking about? The other lady?
Misera.
Misera.
Or Misera.
Misera, okay. Adding to my notes. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Okay. Let me just think if Sije needs to make a roll.
So to double check, is Billy, like, you said he was with the townsfolk who were, like, watching the whole thing?
Yeah, so this...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a letter. That's good.
Yeah, so this area to the left of the beach where Audie and Alisaria is, that's all separated, and it's loaded up with, actually, I want to say 100 to 200 townspeople, but it's hard for you to get a gauge because it's a large group of people totally packed in, ready for whatever's about to happen. You even kind of think you make out some people hanging out of the edge of the windmill. You guys make your way around the edge of the building. In the front, there's actually a lot more space. And you see Benson kind of grumbling, he's grumbling happily, I'll say. He has a bunch of people surrounding him, and he's showing them his tablet, saying, "Bear witness." So, what do you guys do?
I think we should try to investigate this Benson person more. I think we should catch up with him and try to talk to him in person. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys, you walk up to the ring of people around Benson. You're watching him do the same spiel that he did at the inn. It seems to be really important to him. But you notice, actually, Norren and Caitlin, not Sije, unfortunately, you notice something moving in the bushes out of the corner of your eye. And your eyes dart over there very quickly, and it's a sparrow. Then you hear the voices of a few people pointing out the sparrow. Some people say, "It's the sparrow Mac, come to leave his blessing." Others are like, "It's just a errant wild sparrow." At that point, Sije, you also notice the sparrow. And you guys are looking between the circle around Benson and the sparrow in the bushes. You can hear somebody shouting in the distance. Basically, it's a commanding sounding voice. They're saying, "Settle down, folks, settle down. The Centennial shall commence momentarily." And you hear the voice approaching closer and closer. And a elven figure comes around the corner of the building. This person comes around the corner and says, "Greetings, it is I, Carol, Dream Petal Zillaru. How are we all faring today?" And he comes over to the three of you. "Well, we have some unusual adventures in the crowd today."
Hi?
He looks at you, kind of taken aback. They're a little bit surprised. And they say, "Well, what are you, a peasant? Or do my eyes deceive me?"
Actually, yeah.
"A farmer?"
From McCready Farm. I'm sorry, who are you?
"Well, I am Carol Dreampetal Zillaru, first chair of the Nature and Goodness Preservation Society."
Hang on. And I just reach in, pull out the letter, and look at the name at the bottom, and I just hold it up to them and point. "This is you?"
They sigh and then laugh, somewhat joyously. "Yes, that is I, the very one, and the same."
Okay, so why'd you send me this letter?
"Well, I don't send anybody letters individually. I have messengers to send the letters, and we compensate them accordingly. But they deliver the letters to whoever they see fit."
So I caught one of your messenger's eye, is that it?
They hold their hand up to their chin contemplatively and give you the once-over. "To be honest, I don't know why you would have received a letter. I gave specific instructions what kind of adventures we were looking for, but perhaps they saw something in you that Well, I don't want to say anything unbecoming of my status. And with that, they just wave the hand, cutting you off, and walk away.
I am so confused right now. And I don't know if I've just been insulted or not.
So you notice that as Carol Zilru is leaving, more and more of the adventurers are actually taking note of the sparrow by the bush with kind of like expressions of thinking it's the great sparrow who created or who was involved in the creation of Windswept Island. Because you know this area is associated with the Sparrow's Nest. The region.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the region of islands that Windswept is on. And this is a big event, so some of them are kind of suggesting that may be the case. And there's a general murmur around you, but suddenly a creature runs up and attacks the sparrow, and everybody just stops. Everybody just stops speaking and mumbling. Everybody stops. Even Benson has taken note. And you all have taken note as well, because you see this creature, you've never seen anything like it, but it looks kind of like a large rodent, but it's chowing down on the sparrow.
ROUS.
And there's people mumbling, a predator? And you, Caitlin, you're keenly aware, you know how unlikely a predator is on Windswept Isle. So much so that people have bemoaned your own experiences with would-be predators. But this is a very unusual sight for everybody, and everybody's stopped talking. And in the distance you hear Carol's voice. And so the great wolf will emerge! Again, everybody's attention actually looks up towards the wolf moon, which is the large moon, which is currently in a new moon state. And you're waiting for the daylight to break, as Carol announced that it would. And you wait, and you wait, and the general air of unease from seeing this creature eating another creature in front of you, it doesn't leave you with a very good feeling. But now a few minutes pass, then a few more. Next thing you know, it's like 15 or 20 minutes have passed and nothing's happened.
My siblings are going to be so pissed at me.
And there's a general air of unease in the group of people around you, where the rest of the beach, you can hear a general tone of amusement. So people outside of this area didn't see what you guys saw, and they're expecting the daylight to break, but after the announcement, it still hasn't come. But then, to the south, across the clouds, you notice a glimmer of light hit a patch of clouds. And the glimmer of light expands, and it lets off a red-orange hue. Suddenly you notice that the state of the wolf moon in the sky hasn't changed. It's still a new moon. But somehow the light seems to be penetrating the clouds from underneath. And so the aura of light coming out of the clouds keeps expanding, and the excitement and exuberance in the air is a general raucous. Even around you, people are they're a little off put by what they saw with this rodent-looking thing eating a sparrow. Nobody's ever seen that before, but they're getting exciting at the glowing light. And you hear a few people talking to the side. Somebody suggests, could this be the new landmass? And then you see an object pierce the clouds, but it doesn't seem like lead. It seems to be a metallic structure in a general oblong curved shape. And the object continues to rise out of the clouds, and you notice that it has the shape of a large blimp glowing at the seams with orange-red hue, and it has a large undercarriage sectioned off into multiple compartments. And let's have you all roll perception checks.
God.
Oh.
Oh. Sorry, Norren was blowing his nose.
Yeah, so Sije, you don't see anything. Norren, you're just kind of amazed at what you're looking at. You've never seen an airship come out of the clouds, and never one with this make. It's a very impressive metallic structure. Caitlin, what you see something a little bit more intricate. You notice that there are some kind of cannons attached to the undercarriages, and a large explosion sort of sound cracks the air, or almost like thunder. And you guys notice a giant harpoon sailing across the water in the port, make a dead impact into the windmill across the river, across the water. And then a second harpoon does the same, and one of the undercarriages detaches and starts sliding down those two harpoons, which are attached by rope to the Zeppelin. And it is sliding across at a fast pace. You hear two more thunder cracks, and you feel rubble falling from above your heads. And you guys look up and you notice two more harpoons have done the same to the building you're standing in front of. Similarly, another undercarriage is detaching from the Zeppelin and moving towards you at a fast pace. Two more undercracks rupture the air, and you hear the general sound of impact coming somewhere around the edge of the building, but you can't see where they're hitting. The undercarriage that was sliding towards the windmill hits it at ramming speed, and the bottom of the carriage unloads a bunch of creatures. And some of these creatures. So what you notice, you can't totally make out their shape because it's too far away, unfortunately. But you do notice some seem to be glowing as if on fire. Then the undercarriage sliding towards you guys is about to make impact, and you see a large, almost like a cable or something shaped like a cable, come out of the clouds near the Zeppelin. And it is massive. It's larger than the Zeppelin, and it actually wraps around the Zeppelin just as the undercarriage that was sliding towards you hits the building. You guys look up and you notice it has completely caved in the second story of the building you're standing in front of and gone into it. So where you saw the carriage that hit the windmill unload underneath, this one has now unloaded inside the second story of the building. You will all roll initiative.
Oh God.
Oh, God.
Meanwhile, most of the adventurers around you have hightailed it out of there.
Well, Void, congratulations on making the first session go in a direction that I think is entirely different from what we were expecting.
Yep.
Oh boy. Okay, so we're right outside this building then.
Yep. You're right outside the armory.
So, would I be correct in assuming that as all of this is going on, all of the townsfolk, and I'm guessing maybe a number of the adventurers, people are running and screaming?
You betcha.
Oh boy.
There is general unease about the area for good reason.
Maybe general chaos is more like it.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you just hate it when this happens? Just balloons come out of the sky.
Oh, it's a bad day. Well, it came out of
It is a bad day.
It came out of the clouds underneath you, really.
That's why I moved out of Fresno, you know?
Okay, so from the undercarriage that hit the building in front of you, you guys notice the back end is partially sticking out, but most of it is in the second story. The back end actually opens up. There's a door, and it opens out up a bunch of creatures start spilling out of it. Those creatures land in front of the building, and there are 5 of them.
Oh boy. So,
Okay.
Could you describe these creatures in a little more detail so we know what exactly is trying to kill us?
Absolutely. So they are kind of like shambling masses of flesh. They don't really have legs. Their lower body is slug-like. They're
Ew.
they're roughly human-sized, but then they have a bulk of mass with the slug-like tail. And they have sharp teeth, featureless faces that kind of have a general shifting human likeness. It's almost like they're semi-formless, generally like a slug-like human form, but
You have salt.
the shape ripples and changes a little bit. Caitlin, you are going to go first.
Okay. Okay, so I see these things that are starting to ooze towards us menacingly, and basically my fight or flight responses are fighting for dominance, and freeze is rapidly taking the lead, as I'm not sure what to do. I just instinctively pull out my shovel, hold it with both hands in front of me, and I'm just staring at these things, just get away. Don't you come any closer! And yeah, basically I'm going to ready an action to physically attack any of them that come within melee range.
Okay, cool. And are you going to get closer or hold your ground?
I am gonna hold my ground because there's no way in hell I'm getting closer to those things. Because I am a farm girl with no combat experience.
Oh god, that'd be terrifying.
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. Now it is Norren's turn.
I ready my bow. I take my hand and reach for my bow. So I would like to keep a distance from these horrible creatures.
So do you want to ready an action as well?
Yes, how do I do that?
So basically you just say what your intent is for when these guys advance upon you.
I tend to get my longbow ready while there's some distance between us.
These guys rolled really bad for initiative, so it's Sije next.
Sije is going to take out his javelin and hurl it at the closest one.
Okay, cool. You will roll for dex.
Fuck.
And you know what? You might actually have hit. FYI, I'm easing these guys into you, so as frightening as these guys are, they're giant slugs, so probably not that difficult to hit. Sije, your javelin ruptures through the air. It's almost as if the chaos suddenly goes silent. You hit that one. The javelin ruptures the air and lands. It makes contact, hitting the creature in its right shoulder. And you will now roll for damage.
Let's go. 3, I'll take it.
So, man, the javelin pierces right through. Thud! It cracks into the wood of the building behind the creature. And
I didn't think I would make it. Yeah.
and it is now the creature's turn. So this one moves towards you, Caitlin, and Norren. If you want to fire off a bow shot, Norren, you can do so.
Yes, as the creature gets closer to Caitlin, I shoot a bow at it.
So you are gonna also roll. Whew. So that's a critical failure. So you take aim. Roll again. Roll another d20.
You sure? I mean, that's
Just a blank d20 without any modifiers.
Yeah,
So roll once more.
Oh my god. Okay.
So just to explain what was going to happen, if you get 3 critical failures in a row, you die.
Really?
Yeah. So it's good to get those 2 out.
Yeah.
Chances are it's not going to be that close again. Man, you are nervous. You draw up your bow and it snaps as you're drawing it up to hit the creature. And it actually flies past Caitlin. It nicks her for 1 damage. So Caitlin, you unfortunately got
Sorry about that.
friendly fire from the nervous Norren. It's been a while since he's come into contact with anyone.
Yeah, poor Caitlin's just
Okay,
like, oh great,
so-
this is
So the creature moves closer within striking range of you, Caitlin.
All right, so I'm ignoring the creatures. I'm rounding on Norren. Just, what the hell was that for? Out of my blind spot.
The creature approaches you. You notice it is about to strike Norren as it reels back its uninjured arm.
Okay, and is this where I can shovel?
It is where you can shovel.
Right. Okay. What happened?
I'm choosing to blame the fish I had earlier that was very greasy, you know? Maybe-
blame it on the fish. Why don't
It
you?
made me miss my shot, you know?
It's a 19 to hit.
Nice. Hits, and you're going to roll for damage. The creature reels back, and you take the opportunity to slash it across the chest. Its chest gapes open with a bloody wound of about 2 inches depth, pretty thick, and blood starts oozing out, not squirting out, but oozing out, but not put off. The creature actually follows through with its attack against Norren, which will be a punch, actually. You quickly step aside and actually dodge the attack, luckily, but now the next creature is approaching you, Caitlin, and it is also going to try to throw a fist.
Okay.
Ooh, that's not good.
Is it?
It throws back a fist, and it hits you square in the jaw, and it is going to do actually a decent amount of damage, probably. Yeah, so it does 6 points of damage.
I am at 2 hit points.
Yeah, so you stumble back, shake your head, and you're surprised, because this thing doesn't seem like it has that much to it. Now the others are making their way, but they move rather slowly, so you guys are safe from the other 3.
Oh god, okay.
And now, Caitlin, it is your turn.
I mean, okay, so in this moment, Void, is Caitlin feeling anything different as she is taking damage and she's rapidly finding herself in a life or death situation with the possibility of the latter becoming increasingly clear with every second of combat?
First of all, you are in a bit of a state. This is actually the first time you've ever been hit. So you're in a bit of a state, taken aback, but then your attention locks onto the ground underneath the creature's slug tails, and you notice grass coming up from in between the stones beneath them. This section of stone hasn't been cared for in a while, so the grass is growing up in between the crack, quite tall, and you feel clarity when you look at it. You feel a little bit connected to it.
Hey, so, I guess in this moment, I just am staring at the ground, and maybe like a half second passes, but to Caitlin it feels 10 times longer, as there is just this as something flares up inside of her, just this unknowable feeling, and she just reaches out and makes a fist, and then rears back, and I'm gonna say that this grass suddenly rapidly grows out of the ground, forming this enormous thorny whip, and lashes the one that's immediately closest to her.
You are going to roll for that. I forget what check that was now. Was it wisdom?
Yes. This is a 1d20 plus 5. I rolled it was a 3 that I rolled, so that's 8 altogether.
Good news, it hits.
Ow! Okay, that's amazing. 5 points of piercing damage.
So, sorry, that was the one that attacked you that you were attacking?
Yes, the one that's immediately in front of me.
Norren looks and sees what happens and is completely shocked and taken aback. I mean, he's standing there kind of watching this, and all of this happen. He just sees this attack happen in a brief second, and as he's kind of shocked watching this ordinary farm girl use this ability, he decides to jump into action and grab his dagger to stab the other one in the head as Caitlin makes her attack to try to get the one next to it.
You can also see that Caitlin is panting in shock, but also adrenaline, eyes wide, and there is a tiny glowing green light in the center of both of her pupils.
Okay. Thorn Whip lashes up from the grass beneath the creature. The creature takes damage. It's kind of bleeding from the spots that it was lashed. Sorry.
Is this thing dead?
It is not dead.
Then, for my bonus action, I would then like to cast Healing Word on myself.
Okay.
And basically just, I will say, Norren, Sije, the both of you see that energy, or like just this thrumming in the air surrounds her as energy, like this sensation overtakes her once again, and basically the blood flowing from her mouth begins to slow. I'm going to heal myself 4 points of damage. It'll bring me up to 6 hit points.
Sweet.
And that's everything for my turn.
And Norren, you can go ahead and do a attack roll. Okay, cool. That hits, and you slash at the creature. Your blade goes across its neck. The creature flails its arms in the air as it collapses sideways onto the ground and lies motionless. It is dead. Sije, it is your turn.
All right. Ooh, God, now I have to rethink my strategy over. Damn it! But that was cool.
Out of curiosity, may I ask what your armor class is?
Mine is 17.
17. I think it'd be worthwhile to get in melee, because if you've got armor like that, paladins are very good at being sort of the tank,
the thing is
tank of the party.
Yeah, the thing is, I have a halberd, and halberds have reach.
Ooh, okay.
So I was kind of wondering if I could still hit the one that's right in front of you, even if it's diagonal, or if I have to be like
thrusting action work too. You could it's long. You could still thrust with it, couldn't you?
If you thrust across there, you can definitely hit the one in front of her, and then you still have movement after that if you want to.
Yeah, I'll totally do that.
So do your attack roll, and that hits. Roll for damage.
All right.
And you pull out your halberd. You pull it up from off of your back, holding it in two hands. You make a downward slash, and the tip of the halberd slashes diagonally across the creature's chest, totally just almost sectioning it in two. And the creature flops over motionless and is gurgling blood from its mouth as it dies. You can still move if you would like to.
I'm going to move in the how do I want to do this? I'm gonna move it to the space. I'm gonna move like
kind of in between them, like there.
Yeah.
And sorry, Norren, you actually did have the ability to move as well. Sorry, I should have mentioned that after you attacked. Do you want to move somewhere?
Quickly check. You use a bow, right?
Yeah, well, I was thinking what if I aim for both their necks and they're in a line and try to
recommend getting as much distance as possible from them right now.
Yeah, you have a lot of range, so.
What if could I run and hop on top of this little pile of things right here?
The sandbags?
Yeah.
Yep, you can totally do that. I'll say these sandbags are pretty sturdy, so you will have to do we'll say an acrobatics check. But it's a very low DC, so unless you fail, you easily walk atop the sandbags. They compress a little bit where you step, but they hold you quite easily. And now it is the creature's turns. So the one closest to you, Sije, is going to attack you. It throws forward a fist and it just slides off of your breastplate. The other one's going to move forward and try to attack you as well. And that one, actually, it goes for almost an uppercut to your back, and it hits. So it is going to do 1 point of damage.
Okay.
Then the last one, it's also going to attack you because they see a big thing, they want to attack it. And that one reels back for a punch, and the punch slides off the back of your armor. But as it attacks, you guys hear a shriek coming from atop the building, and the Aarakocra that you encountered earlier flies down and joins in the front fight. As he does so, he pulls out a javelin and he attacks the creature in front of you, Sije. And that attack, it's actually going to be a hit. Surprisingly enough, he does a decent amount of damage. So now, Caitlin, it is your turn.
Staring at what I just did, just completely shocked, I feel the sensation building up again, and I look to one of these two slug things that are attacking Sije, and I'm gonna try to do the same thing again. 16 to hit.
And it hits. The thorn whip coils out from under the stones and slashes violently against the creature as the creature takes the hits. And it looks very weary, but it is still alive. So you are free to move, or if you have any skills you can use as a bonus action.
Yeah, I will move 2 spaces to the left, and I will end my turn.
So it is Norren's turn.
Norren sees the attack and starts to try to get the enemies off of Havi's back. And pulls out the longbow again, while also being completely mesmerized by what's happening and feeling a sort of kinship with Caitlin now because of the nature roots. But that's another point. Anyway.
Hey, nature roots.
I pull up the longbow and go to shoot to try to take some of the enemies attacking Havi's back.
So we'll say you don't have anything blocking the way. Those barricades are kind of pointed away from you. You will roll a regular longbow attack, basically.
Okay. As I pull the string back, I yell, "Better hope you have insurance." I let loose.
I hope you have insurance, you yell out as the arrow flies through the air. Roll for damage. Your arrow hits it in one of the eyes, and it goes right through. You see the arrow impact the ground behind the creature. Somehow you can see it, or the others can see it. And the eyeball is in the middle of the arrow shaft as it sticks out of the ground, and blood squirts from the creature's eye socket. But it is not dead. Now it's the creature's turns. The one that that Sije and the Aarakocra attacked is actually now going to attack the Aarakocra, and that is going to be...
Wait, am I getting skipped over, or?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I did skip you by accident. So it's your turn. So, sorry, it is your turn.
I'm almost distracted by the eyeball.
Sorry, I'm rolling a bunch of things in the background and lost track.
It's all right. Sije is going to rest the butt end of the halberd on the ground and kind of just glance backwards and just stares, trying to in an intimidating way at the creatures, and then just reels back and goes for another halberd attack.
The one between you and the Aarakocra?
The one directly behind me.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, roll for damage, or your attack roll. And that is a hit, so roll for damage. And you stab through the creature. As you do so, you thrust it into the air, and its slug tail dangles. The blood is continuing to squirt from its empty eye socket as the creature falls limp, and you shake it loose from your halberd with a side swipe, and it falls to your feet dead. If you want to move, you will take an attack, but you can disengage if you want. Otherwise,
I'm good.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, yeah, the creature in front of the Aarakocra is going to attack him, and he misses. And he misses quite badly and stumbles forward in front of the bird folk as he just simply sidesteps. And meanwhile, the second creature will attack you, Sije, and he will also miss. Now that I think you guys are doing great, something else happens. You notice a banging from inside the carriage that hit the building, and out tumbles a rotund creature of roughly humanoid shape. It is roughly 5.5 feet tall and almost as wide. And it is gross and fleshy and blobby looking. You also hear a commotion from inside the building, and the doors burst open with flame as two burning humanoid creatures burst out of the door. And they are roughly human-sized and covered in flame. The Aarakocra will try to finish off this dude in front of him. He'll actually do a roundhouse kick, lopping the creature's head off.
Oh.
So this guy, this bird folk, he spins around in a roundhouse kick, and the heel of his taloned foot flies against the cheek of the creature, and you hear something snap as if bones separating, and the neck of the creature goes limp as the entire thing collapses in on itself and lies motionless. And he'll actually jump up and fly above you, Norren, and off to the right of the battlefield. And some of the new creatures will actually go first. One of them is going to head towards you, Norren. It is going to slash at you with its claws, which miss, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I want you guys to have trouble, so...
Help! Eating with flying colors.
So
I I nearly died on my first roll, so I mean there was trouble right
Yeah.
there.
Well, that's just random chance. So the second burning creature, it is going to come up behind, or in front of you, actually, Sije. Similarly, it is going to attack you, which, as the tank, probably isn't too smart, but it hits. So you took, what, 1 damage already?
Yeah.
So this is going to be a little bit worse. Can you remind me if you have fire resistance at all?
I
Let
don't
me
think
see.
I do. I don't know.
Thought you did have resistance for being based off of Warforge. I seem to have forgotten. It looks like you don't, so I don't know why I was remembering it that way. So this is going to be pretty bad.
Oh no, it's poison.
Ah, right. That's right.
Yeah.
You will take 9 damage total, bringing you down to 1.
Oh dear.
But it is now Caitlin's turn.
Okay. Double check. How is everybody with hit points right now?
Sije is down to 1. Norren hasn't been hit yet.
So, I am going to... First, I'm going to use Healing Word as a bonus action to heal you, Sije, because you're at 1 hit point. So you get another 6 hit points. So basically, I see this fiery thing attacking you, and I just yell out just this wordless exclamation of panic, thrust my hand towards you, feel that energy course through me. My body glows with greenish-yellowish light as it coalesces through my form, down my arm, into the palm of my hand, shoots out like a mote of light surrounded by fireflies, goes into you, and a whole bunch of your injuries suddenly start to close up. I believe.
Thanks.
Yeah, you are... Or, sorry, Sije is the one who's at 1 hit point?
Yeah, so he's now at 7.
Okay, good. You're at 7, and then I am going to use my standard action. I'm also out of spell slots, so that's all the healing I can do. Then I'm going to use Thorn Whip. I'm going to target the fleshy one down here, and I am going to attack it. That is a 12 to hit.
So roll for damage.
6 points of piercing damage.
And the Thorn Whip coils up around the creature. You can actually pull it towards you if you would like.
I can pull it up to 10 feet, and I'm going to do that.
So you will pull it closer. Thorns lash at the creature's body, doing a lot of damage, actually. It squirts out blood in the places where the thorns make impact. And it is now Norren's turn.
Well, this thing is coming up on me and starts swinging at me. I'm watching everything happen, and I have to get rid of this thing just standing, pretty much jumping right on top of me. So I pull out my dagger to try to stab it in the throat.
That is a hit, so roll for damage. And that is a good amount of damage, too.
I was initially thinking I could just use my water skin to dump water on it, but I don't think that would be enough.
You reel back and you slash it in the throat. Actually, this one bleeds a little bit differently. The blood is on fire as if oil. The embers lick at you but do not damage you. The creature stumbles a bit as you slash it.
Oh, so could I actually move away so it's
Oh
not
yeah,
next
sorry.
anymore?
You could move away, but you have to disengage, and you only have half as much movement.
Well, I probably shouldn't. Well, how many movements can I do?
You can move 5 squares.
Okay, I head over to back Caitlin up.
Let's see. And sorry, diagonally counts as 1 movement space too. So you could basically go right there if you wanted.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But, well, then you'll be in the line of the other creature.
Let's
So,
do this.
you want to be there?
This way I have line of sight for 2 of them.
Okay, cool. And then it is Sige's turn.
I'm gonna do a wide horizontal slash at the fire creature in front of me.
Okay, so roll for that. Ooh, that one, unfortunately, is a miss. You step forward to attack, and the creature sidesteps it, ducks underneath, and you look at it glumly as it laughs at you menacingly. It's always menacingly. Now it will be the other new creature. You know what? He'll actually go for the NPC, because he can't move very fast. The thing breathes heavily as he walks towards the Aarakocra, and he says, "Beat!" And he reels back for an attack. He is gonna try to bite the Aarakocra.
Oh no.
I think he actually succeeds. Sorry, I have so many sheets open right now. He does succeed. The creature, he is hungry, so he reels back his neck to take a bite out of this Aarakocra, and he does 9 points of damage. The Aarakocra tries to get out of the way. The thing that in front of him, man, when something of this size is hungry, it is hard to avoid its maw, and it bites down, soaking the feathers around the Aarakocra's neck with blood. The Aarakocra character is going to attack back, and he is going to attack.
I hope he gets a splinter from the bones.
He is going to attack with his javelin. That is a hit. So he is going to use it as a melee weapon, and he pokes into the creature's obese girth, impales it. Blood squirts out where the javelin makes impact, and he pulls the thing out, and it squirts again. And then it will be the other creature's turns. Sorry, Havi, this one is going to continue attacking you. The slug-like one. That one's going to miss, but the other two are also going to attack. And it also misses, luckily for you. But the final enemy is going to approach Norren and attack him. And that's going to be a hit. And these things hit pretty heavily. How much health do you have again, Norren, total? 11. Okay, so y'all probably do all right. It's still not going to be great. So it does 9 points of damage to you, slashing at you with its sharp claws. It also ignites part of your leather breastplate on fire. The fire quickly smolders out, nevertheless doing damage. So it is now Caitlin's turn.
Okay, Norren, how many hit points do you have?
2.
Okay. Alright, so I am going to use Horn Whip once again against this creature here. Just doing my best to just hit it again and again and just try to kill it. 16. And 2 points of piercing damage.
So you slap at it with your thorns, and surprisingly, it flops over dead. It's just too much to handle for the pathetic slug-like fiend.
I'm going to move to this square right here, diagonally from the fire creature that's attacking me. And I see that he's doing really badly, so I just run straight at this thing. Just, hey, you! Yeah, you! Over here! And, I'm just brandishing my shovel. And, yeah, I'm just on the other side of this thing so that when you get to attack it, Norren, you will have advantage on your melee attacks. Because we'll be flanking the target.
Indeed. So it is now Norren's turn.
And considering the longbow incident earlier when I accidentally struck Caitlin, I'm going to use my dagger again.
All right. So go ahead and make 2 attack rolls. That's good. So one of them is a crit. So you're going to roll and you slash at it. Your dagger impales it through the skull. You look at the creature's eyes as its fiery pupils go dull and the flame goes out. The creature collapses into a pile of bone and flesh, and the flame surrounding it smolders to nothing.
Breath, I thank Caitlin for the assist on that one.
No worries!
So you are free to move if you want, but I will say you're in a pretty good position if you don't want.
So, yeah. Would I be able to thread the needle through that fence to help the Aarakocra out if that enemy gets taken out in front of Havi?
It will be a very hard shot.
I could imagine. Okay. Yeah. Actually, so I will move. I'll just move down. Could I make a shot from down 2 spaces across? Is that too far, or for longbow?
Sorry, across from where?
If I have 2 spaces down, so I actually have an open shot.
Oh, like right here?
Yes.
Yep. We'll say that is a clear shot.
Okay. Yeah, I'll move there.
So it is now Javi's turn. Or sorry, Sige's turn.
Sige is gonna bring the halberd down on the head of this flame person.
Well, do your attack roll.
Are you shitting me?
And this, you attack it again, and it sidesteps. It just keeps laughing, and it actually says to you in a voice that sounds like burning coals, rather. That the best you can do?
I don't know.
The big guy is gonna try to attack the Aarakocra again.
We really kind of left that poor Aarakocra for itself, didn't we?
Yeah. for sure.
To be fair, we had our hands very full, and that guy is a stranger.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
The creature actually misses quite badly. It doesn't damage itself, but the Aarakocra sidesteps the attack, and he is going to attack the creature back, softening him up for you guys. He's going to counterattack, actually with a knee strike to the creature's chest, which hits, and the creature stumbles back. It's not looking good for that thing. It looks totally dazed. It is now the remaining fire creature's turn. Sorry, Havi, it is going to go for you, because it sees that you're in its way. But luckily, it goes for a scratch against you, and the scratch just glides off of your armor. You guys are just trading no blows against one another. So it is Caitlin's turn.
Okay, Caitlin is going to use Thorn Whip on the fire thing. First, she's going to move 2 spaces up and 1 to the right, over here.
Okay.
That is a 10 to hit.
Unfortunately, the thorns, they spring up out of the ground, clawing at the creature, but they just can't seem to make purchase as they burn away against the fiery skin of the creature.
Shit! And yeah, that is all I can do for my turn, so I'll end it.
Okay, so Norren, I will make a suggestion. You are low hit points, but if you guys flank the creature, you'll have twice as much chance of hitting it.
You know, Norren, that would be high risk, high reward.
Stand next to me if you want, because I can heal you.
Yeah, he can use lay on hands on his turn.
I think
Okay.
you deal more damage with a bow than with a dagger, so I would recommend first trying to shoot this thing before moving into range of...
Yeah.
For
Okay.
sure.
Alright, I'm gonna try to shoot it.
Do your attack roll.
We're pretty close there, so I shout over for Javi to kind of turn to the side so I can kind of thread the needle and go right at that creature. That's
If you want to make a really safe shot, you can move, shoot, and move again if you have leftover movement. So
I don't
you
wanna-
could move like right here, and you have a direct line of sight to the creature at this point.
okay. So I hop to the side, quickly shouting for Javi to. Oh, I keep saying Javi, but to be careful as the shot's coming over. And as I sidestep, I pull the bow and aim directly at the creature's face.
So you pull back your bow, and you're aiming for the forehead. The arrow actually pierces the creature's neck and goes right through to the other side. The thing gurgles, but is still alive. Blood splatter with flame flickers as the blood splatters to the ground. And Javi, it is now your turn. Or sorry, you were going to move to flank the creature as well. So Javi, it is now your turn.
I kind of have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So I don't know if anyone's played For Honor, and I was kind of wondering if I could grapple the creature, as in like lifting it up on my shoulder and then just crack its back.
You could do
Bring
that.
it.
It will be, let me see here. There will be a bit of a problem if you do that though, because it will do fire damage if you touch it.
Okay, let's not do that.
Yeah. And also you have to roll a few checks that you don't have the best roll on. So I would stick with your attack roll if I were you. But you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I'm just gonna go for the neck.
Yeah. So you can actually roll twice. That you pull back to attack this thing, and your halberd thrusts right through it. Again, the creature is lifted off of its feet, dangling. The embers surrounding its body go dull as the flame dies out, and you see a devilish-looking creature limp on the end of your halberd, which you toss to the side, and it dies.
Sije is gonna say ruffled feathers.
The remaining creatures responds to that. I love quail. And it attacks and hits. It hits the Aarakocra for a decent chunk of damage. But the creature bites down on the Aarakocra's neck, and you get the sense that it really does love bird meat as the Aarakocra continues to bleed from the neck.
I want those chicken tendies.
He's actually going to disengage and fly up onto the roof and
Okay.
let you guys finish this guy off. So it is now Caitlin's turn.
Okay, Caitlin, she's going to move close to the creature right around here.
Okay.
And I'm going to use, Thorn Whip again on this thing.
Okay, roll for damage.
Okay. First, I'm gonna roll a hit.
We also have only one creature left, but we should probably have done the healing thing before Havi's turn was over.
Oh
First,
yeah, I forgot about that.
First, I'm out of spell slots, so I can't heal anybody. Secondly,
Yeah.
that's a nat 1.
Oh.
So, okay. So roll another d20.
Okay.
You focus on the area underneath the creature's feet, and the thorns, actually, they start to unravel beneath your feet, but then the spell fizzles out and nothing happens.
I'm just, what the hell's happening to me? And I'm gonna pass to the next person in turn order.
Okay, so Norren, that's you.
Feeling the hits, but feeling the battle is close to an end, out of breath, I reach for one more arrow to shoot at this creature that just seems to be starving for all of us. And I pull one more arrow to try to finish this.
You loose the arrow and it flies through the air. You're all caught as if the arrow is flying in slow motion. How do you want this thing to hit the enemy?
I want to go straight in between the eyes.
Good news, it had 1 hit point left, so you don't even have to roll. The arrow flies through the creature's forehead. You guys feel like time is moving in slow motion as you see the arrow perforate the creature's skull, and the eyes go dull. Its beady little eyes drop limp to either side grotesquely, and the arrow goes all the way through and continues flying where it impacts the water from the beach behind, and the creature falls to its knees before falling forward once again and lying completely limp.
And out of breath, I slowly say, "How's it feel to die to a vegan?"
So the creature dies, and
For those unaware, I'm vegan, so.
yeah, and that ends the battle for now, anyways. You guys take a moment to catch your breath, and then you notice the Zeppelin is still flying over the clouds. Coil shape that you saw now, that long cable, the enormous cable that's wrapping around it. You now notice that it's kind of has a biological tenor to it, or form, and it seems to be writhing and coiling around the ship as it crushes the ship, constricting it. And you guys walk out. Sorry, we'll go back to the city map. You guys walk out to the edge of the land. You can now see where the third set of harpoons hit, and they hit the shipyard just to the northeast of where you are. But they've come detached, and if you follow them back to the Zeppelin, the thing coiling around it actually caused the cables attached to the harpoon to snap. The thing pulls the Zeppelin underneath the clouds, and you see something else starting to part the clouds, and it is something that, Sije, you are familiar with this creature, or the shape of this creature, although you've never quite seen one like this. Then also for the first time, you guys notice another airship, a giant airship off in the distance, which you didn't quite notice before. But this one has an anchor over the side. Caitlin, you recognize it as the ship that Virgil said was the goblinoid city ship that flew over earlier. Norren, you recognize it as the big ship that left the Oak Shroud Tower before you headed off to Windswept Island. The creature you see now parting the Cloudsea is a giant serpentine creature. Norren and Caitlin, you've never seen anything like it, but Sije, you notice it has the likeness of the serpent form of your companion Essa, but it's way bigger and more menacing looking. And you guys also notice that it's downed some of the airships that were floating in the bay. They're now gone. And this thing is like nothing you guys have ever seen before. But you can't help but feel like some of the odd things you've noticed today might be related to all the craziness that's unfolding. Kind of like a doomsday setting almost from your point of view, from your guys' point of view. You also can't help but feel if this is maybe related to the evil, the great evil that everybody was expecting to one day rain down on the Cloudsea. But that is where I think we will call it a session. So you guys will stop there for tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Boyd. This has been amazing. I love your story so far. This is too much fun. I hope I did okay, but I'm having such a blast.
Okay, good. I'm glad. It's a very weird story, I know.
The weirder the better.
If you should know, the tablet idea came when I was editing your character creation session, because you jokingly said, oh, I feel like I would have found like an evil cell phone or something, an ancient cell phone. So I was like, I'm just going to make it happen. Like, it's funny, but we're just going to throw it in there.
Oh, I love it. This is wonderful.
It seems like a lot is going on, that this whole situation is just pure chaos. I think right before we're about to end for the night, Caitlin's just looking around wildly. Oh god, I need to find my siblings.
Indeed. And Sije and Norren, do you have any parting words before we settle up?
Well, I feel like I would head over. Like, Norren looks over and tries to walk over to Nora Cochran to see how this random fellow that tried to help us out is doing. But that'll be in the next session, so.
Yeah. And for you, Sije, anything you want to add?
Sije is just gonna applaud the giant creature.
Yeah, for killing the Zeppelin, or downing the Zeppelin. All right, so with that, I'll bid you all adieu until next time. Well, we'll figure out when next time is, but have fun and stay safe.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Boyd.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Night.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod from Incompetech.com, whose music I used, including Bushwick Tarantella, SCP-X1X Gateway to Hell, and Unanswered Questions, and music from Tabletop Audio, including Descent, Russian Winter, Lorekeeper Grove, Steampunk Airship, Waterkeep Night, Milltown, Medieval Town, Lively Cafe, Halfling Lodge, Terraforming, River of Blood, The City Above, and Whirlpool. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. And thanks to Ferret Foundry for the Armory Battle Map. You can find Ferret Foundry maps at patreon.com/ferretfoundry. Thanks so much for watching and listening, folks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye!